Hello, everybody. Welcome to the pregame show for the semifinal round between Ithaca and Vassar, the Women's Lacrosse Liberty League semifinal. I'm joined by Rocco DeMilo here. I'm Jeremy Goldstein. Rocco here, he'll be working on athletics throughout the course of the game, but he is here on the broadcast to give us a breakdown of what he expects to see in this matchup. So, Rocco, give us your initial thoughts.
Well, Jeremy, we have a very good matchup this Friday afternoon. It's a beautiful day with some good blue skies. I mean, you got some clouds, but nonetheless, it's still sunny skies, warm temperature. Both teams trying to come in and book themselves a ticket to the Liberty League Championship on Sunday.
That's right.
Both teams are very, very hungry for it. I mean, if you look at the home team, Ithaca, you got some big-name players that are really striving for this moment, especially considering the fact that they came up short last year. So it's going to be a good, interesting thing to see. Good game to see how it's going to come out for sure.
Rocco, listen. So last year at Higgins Stadium, regular season, the Bombers beat the Brewers 19-2. So you think coming into this year, Vassar might be an easier matchup for Ithaca. However, on the road just earlier in early April, Vassar beats Ithaca 13-12. So you have a chance for some redemption for the Bombers on their home turf to go make it to that Liberty League final.
Definitely. Listen, every year a team is going to either try to improve. Well, not try to improve. They're going to improve in some way or another. The results on the field, of course, will speak for themselves. But like you mentioned, Vassar is a better team that we saw last year for sure. Of course, the results are different. But, nonetheless, it's still going to be an interesting matchup to see. Last year you had a total record for Vassar, 4-11 overall, 2-8 in conference. This season, it's a whole different chapter, whole different page in the book. 9-6 overall, 5-5 in conference play. So, listen, this year is a different Vassar team. So, like we said, both teams are definitely going to look to see how they could overcome one another, because I'm sure Vassar knows how strong a team like Ithaca is with the likes of Maisie Veach and Caroline Wise. So,
listen, but at the end of the road, and obviously you got to focus on the now. I tell Alex that all the time, focus on the now. However, the other semifinal round, Union and undefeated William Smith, a Herons team that has always gotten the best of the Bombers over the last handful of seasons. William Smith is a top 5 ranked team in the country nationally. Ithaca lost to them by 2 goals, lost to them by a goal, and 2 of their last 3 times they matched up, they lost to them by 9 earlier this year. What's your worry level that Ithaca can pull through and win this whole thing?
Well, it's one of those things where you're gonna really have to rely on your knowledge of the other team. You go out there, you play them once or twice in the season, and you come up short both times, and you get a better understanding for how the team plays. Like if we're staying in Ithaca athletics. If you looked at this year's women's soccer Liberty League championship, Ithaca beat William Smith and ended their however many year drought of the Liberty League Championship. And why? Because they played them a couple times. They understood what kind of game they play. And if the lacrosse team here can take a page out of their book, it's that. You have to kind of study how they play and look for the ins and outs and how to get around that. And just like that, if you're able to do that, if you're able to book your ticket to Sunday's match and play a team like William Smith and hope for a good result, you might get as good of a result. You might get as good of a delirious feeling as Napoli Scudetto win yesterday. So.
Now can't go a whole broadcast without Rocco mentioning Napoli. They finally, after 187 years, were able to win a conference championship. Rocco, any final words before we sign off?
Hey, it's gonna be a big matchup. Both teams are gonna look for this great opportunity to, just move on with it. If you look over here, I believe that's Maggie Mandel really trying her best to just stay focused and get on her best game. Either way, your two teams, you got to stay focused. Each team has to stay focused. They have to understand the task at hand, and we'll see how the results play out in about an hour or so.
Yeah, game time in 14 minutes. I'll be on the call with Alex Chaprut. Rocco, your dedication to athletics means the world to us. Thank you so much.
It's my last year, so I had to make it my best time. So thank you, Jeremy.
It's a beautiful day here on the South Hill for some Liberty League Championship lacrosse here as the number 2 seeded Ithaca Bombers take on the 6 seeded Vassar College Brewers. Hello everyone, I am Alex Trippett, and alongside me is Jeremy Goldstein. And Jeremy, looking at this Vassar team, they are red hot, coming off of another upset victory over the 3rd seeded St. Lawrence Saints a few days ago. How much confidence does this Vassar team have right now?
I think they have a lot of it. You know, we talked to Rocco DeMilo on the pregame show, gave us some great insight about, you know, the field ahead. And Vassar is a team that has arguably had the largest improvement. You can say William Smith going undefeated plays a role, but Vassar was a team that was getting blown out, only had 2 conference wins, and then they get 5 this season. And, like you said, an upset win against a team that was in contention to potentially make the finals. So that's something to note.
For sure. I mean, Vassar has pulled off a lot of upsets this season, upsetting St. Lawrence twice, including that game that I mentioned a couple days ago. Not to mention upsetting this very same Ithaca Bombers team early on in April, as you mentioned in the pregame, so Jeremy. And so definitely a storyline coming into this game is a chance for a revenge here for the Ithaca Bombers, not only to punch their ticket to the Liberty League Championship game, however, also to get a little bit of payback for their road loss against Vassar earlier on in the season.
Right. Again, you look at last year, Ithaca beat the Brewers here 19-2 on this very field. Obviously, you lost a lot of graduate students, but you still have a lot of your firepower that you had then and a lot of the firepower that exists now. And this Vassar team, on paper, not as good as this Bomber team, but they've proven through good coaching and just intelligent play they can beat teams. And we've seen Ithaca turn the ball over at nauseum so much where it costs them, and it really narrows their leads and it keeps other teams in the game. So if Ithaca turns the ball over like they have all season, we could be looking at a smart Vassar team that finds their way.
Absolutely. I mean, you mentioned experience coaching. Judy Finnerty is in her 30th season as the head coach of the Vassar Brewers women's lacrosse team, so a ton of experience there, obviously. And, you know, as you mentioned, Ithaca has been turning over the ball a lot. However, they have been cleaning it up recently. That 2-1 turnover margin that used to be against them is no longer there anymore. And do you think that do you still think that that's the key today for the Ithaca Bombers?
Always, every game, because we know they have the offense and they have a deep rotation of defenders that get the job done. And when you get in the Liberty League tournament and you get into the latter rounds, it really becomes all about maintaining the ball and getting it to your Maisie Beaches and Sydney Phillipses, because those are the players that put the ball in the net. You want to give them shots. You want to put shots on goal. You want to put pressure on Lauren Johns when she's in there.
Absolutely. And I mean, speaking of goaltending a little bit, looking at Lexi Held for a second, Jeremy, talk a little bit about the tear that she's been on recently.
Lexi Held has always been a rock-solid goaltender ever since she got the starting job last year. But then you also look at what she's done over the last 2 weeks, breaking her all-time save record in a game, nearly breaking that in the last game against Skidmore. You don't need her to be that, but you need her to be at an elite level, especially if you want to keep surviving.
I mean, absolutely. She is peaking right now, and we're going to step away real quick here for a second for the national anthem. Welcome back to the Ithaca Bombers Athletic Stream. And Jeremy, just as we got cut off there by the national anthem real quick, we were talking about goaltending. And now looking over at the goaltending for the Vassar Brewers, what do you expect to see from Lauren Johns today, who will be starting in net for the Brewers?
She's going to get pressured a lot. Ithaca's gotten a lot more success when they've gotten to the end line where Maisie Beach can provide the Bombers offense with a net drive and draw a lot of defenders and her passing ability, getting it back to the perimeter, back to the 8-meter fan if she need be. So I think she's going to have to take a lot of tight contested shots, and she's going to have to get used to those and make some saves.
Absolutely. It's always going to be a struggle for opponent goaltenders when you're dealing with the likes of Maisie Veach and Chloe Nardai coming down to try and get goals against you. And now, looking at this Ithaca Bomber squad overall, what do you think the keys are, besides maybe the cleaning up the turnovers, as we already mentioned, Jeremy, for them to get a win here and continue their streak and punch their ticket to the Liberty League Championship
I'm
game?
going to go with the draw circle because Caroline Wise, as great as she is, hasn't been as dominant as usual over the last couple weeks or so. And if Ithaca wants a chance again to last this Liberty League tournament, against all odds, essentially win the whole thing and make the Liberty League tournament, she's going to have to be her dominant self. She's going to have to be one of the best draw control getters in Division III like we've seen before. So if she could be at top form, this is a great way to get in shape for that, and hopefully she can put together one of those outstanding performances we've seen so many times.
For sure. I mean, you talk about Caroline Wise. She has 175 draw controls already on the season, which leads the Liberty League in draw controls, not to mention that she only needs 29 more draw controls out of the remaining games that Ithaca plays this season in order to break her own record that she set last season of 4 draw controls in a single season. And, you talked about her not being as dominant in the draw circles, Jeremy. She hasn't been as dominant. However, she has been producing in other areas. Last time against Skidmore on Tuesday, she had 3 goals, 3 assists, 3 ground balls, and a caused turnover in that game. I mean, she was doing everything for the Ithaca Bombers.
Right, and that's what people forget. Right? Caroline Wise wins all of her awards because of what she does in the middle. But she's top 4 on this team in goals. She plays a great defensive midfield when she needs to. She leads the team in assists, I feel like, every game over the last few weeks. There's not one thing she can't do well on either side of the ball.
Absolutely. And I mean, talking about some of the other stars on this Ithaca Bombers squad, you're looking at players like Maisie Veach, who's top 5 in goals and points on the season so far. I mean, talk a little bit about her production recently and what she's been doing.
Maisie Veach, you said? Right. So, again, the end line is where her office is, as you like to say, and she likes to work at the bottom and go up. And what she does is she causes all these defenders to have to crash towards her. And I think the difference is with the defense, you can't stop her shooting and from her getting to where she wants to be because of how good her strength is as a whole. I think you have to stop her from making that pass out effectively and force the turnovers. Maisie Veach does turn the ball over a lot. That's her weakness, if you will. And Alex, they're waiting for an official to come over. So that's what the delay is here. We might have to toss back to Rocco at this point.
We might have to. I mean, I don't know. But also, you mentioned turnovers for Maisie Veach. She is a bit of a double-edged sword player. She does have a top 5 and lead the team actually in goals and points. However, she also does lead the team in turnovers with 49 on the season so far. So definitely a bit of an area where she definitely needs to clean up. And now looking at, maybe offensively for this Vassar team, obviously you're talking about Maddie Cretton, who leads the team with 45 goals on the season so far. What do you expect to see from her today in order to give Vassar a chance here in this game?
Players like Maddie Cretton, they do it all. And I think we have a player on Ithaca's offense. You have a player who does everything so well. But with women like Cretton and Annie Uyeki and Emma Torkelson, it's not going to be one of those players who has to step up and complete their task. Everybody has to contribute. Ithaca could be an overwhelming team. Here comes the official on the field, and Ithaca's cheering her on. But
they're anxious to get the game started, Jeremy.
Yeah, I know. How could you not be? It's a semifinal round. They probably feel like Rocco did when he was watching Napoli win the championship.
Absolutely. And then looking at some of the other star players on this Vassar Brewers team real quick, I want to mention Annie Uyeki, who is leading the team with 31 assists. Not to mention she's top 5 in that category, actually, in the Liberty League. I mean, what do you expect to see from her today?
18 goals, 31 assists. I think she's going to play a very Caroline Wise role on the offensive side of things, where she's going to be on one side of the 8-meter fan, and she's going to look to cross it, maybe a centering feed, a cross-turf pass. She's going to look to gain attention as she gets closer to the net and then find an open teammate on the other side of the turf and try to create points.
Well, it finally looks like everybody's getting set and ready to go here. And Jeremy, what are your keys for Vassar? What does Vassar need to do in this game as a last final thought here before the lineups come out in order to get a win today here at Higgins Stadium, where very few teams have been able to win? And in fact, Vassar has actually never won here at Higgins Stadium against this Ithaca Bombers team.
Well, neither at Skidmore, right? And I felt a little stupid actually, because during the Skidmore game, I said, goaltending is the key. And they got goaltending. They had the best of the best goaltending against this Ithaca team we've seen, but their offense couldn't contribute. So I think it's going to be develop a multi-goal lead early. You got to have high expectations if you're Vassar. You don't really have a lot of margin for error, no time to mess around. if you're the Brewers, you got to attack early and often.
For sure. And, I mean, you mentioned the goaltending from Skidmore on Tuesday. It was Kazanjian for Skidmore who had 24 saves in that game. I mean, she played absolutely phenomenal, and yet Skidmore still got dominated 11-4 in that game in the quarterfinal matchup. And then, of course, Vassar was able to pull off the upset against St. Lawrence on Tuesday as well, upsetting them 13-11 here. As it looks like we're about finally ready to get set here to get going. And it looks like it will be Catherine Peacock in for the Vassar Brewers in order to take the draw against Caroline Wise to get play started here.
All right, we talked about Wise. A lot more even in the draw circle, especially starting against Hamilton a couple weeks ago in that midweek game. This isn't a matchup she expects to dominate. No Vassar Brewer really typically dominant in the draw control category.
Absolutely. I mean, you talk about dominance. There are four players, with more than 25 draw controls on this Vassar Brewers team, so it's definitely very much split compared to on the Ithaca side, whereas Caroline Wise with 175 so far this season. As we are finally get set to go here, and it starts with a violation, and it will go to Vassar control. As now it looks like it's going to be Peacock driving it into the offensive zone for the Brewers. Peacock passing it all the way back to Riley Kelly. Now it's Trina Cho bringing it in for the Brewers. Passing it up top. Passing it up top to Riley Mulcahy. Down low and back around the net to Annie Uyeki. Uyeki passing it inside. Passing it back up top. Passing it inside. Shoots and scores. Kateri Senseviro has the first goal of the game and a quick start, as you mentioned, Jeremy, for Vassar. That's exactly what they got as they find themselves with a 1-0 lead with 14-18 to go here in the first quarter.
Well, we saw a lot from the Vassar offense there as they're tucking inside the 8-meter fan. They're sending a lot of off-ball screens, and Senseviro gets loose. Point blank in front of the net. Great job finding her, and Lexi Held. She's been so great these last few weeks, but that's an impossible shot to save. It's exactly what Vassar wanted. You remember Skidmore in the quarterfinal, they got up 1-0 early too, but Ithaca was able to lock it down defensively the rest of the way. That's a goal 42 seconds in, though. That's not what you want to see if you're Coach Carrie Moore's team.
Absolutely, and it was Maddie Cretton with the assist for the Brewers, and so a great start for her as well. As we saw, it was Modesti for Skidmore who could not get anything going offensively. The star player for Skidmore get anything going offensively against the Ithaca Bombers defense, and already an assist for Cretton early on in this game.
And Cretton has 45 goals, 14 assists, but her 59 points are generated mostly off of goals. And so she's going to get a lot of attention, especially when she gets closer to inside the fan, and she found a wide-open teammate that time.
Well, Ithaca is able to win the draw control this time, and now it's Sydney Phillips far side, bringing it all the way back around the net for the Ithaca Bombers. Phillips still holds it. Up top to Maddie Hall. Hall driving in, shoots and scores! An immediate answer for the Ithaca Bombers as Maddie Hall ties it at 1 goal apiece with 13:48 to go in the first quarter.
That's the easiest I think we've seen the Bombers get a goal in quite a few. We've done a lot of these games the last couple of weeks, and Maddie Hall tries to create a net drive for herself, and she receives no pressure ever since she gets into the 8-meter fan. And Johns, that's an impossible save too. Great bouncer, low to high, ties the game at 1.
Absolutely. I mean, it looked as though she just beat her defender off the 8-meter line, the 8-meter fan line, and just was simply able to drive right to the net and get an easy crease shot. And Maddie Hall is not going to miss from in that close. I mean, that is going to be her 22nd goal of the season.
Exactly what you want to see if you're the offense too, because you lose a violation, you lose the draw on a violation, and you immediately find yourself trailing. You fire back like less than 30 seconds later.
Yeah,
less than 30 seconds.
That's something we haven't been able to see consistency from on the Ithaca offensive side, is that ability to answer right away, and that's something that's great to see in this game for Ithaca. As it looks like there's another stoppage here and another violation maybe on the draw control to get another restart here.
I don't know if you've been watching the NHL playoffs, Alex, but it's these face-offs, these draws. Every sport that has them, right? They take longer and longer each game.
And it looks like it will be the Brewers and Riley Mulcahy able to pick it up for the Brewers. And now it is Trina Cho bringing it up for the Vassar Brewers. Tro quickly driving all the way to the 8-meter line, takes a shot and scores unassisted all the way from the midfield zone. Trina Cho makes it 2-1 for the Vassar Brewers with 13:27 to go. A very, very high-scoring, fast start for this semifinal matchup.
We look at Trina Chow, right? 5 goals all season, and so she's not going to get a lot of attention. And she's been that player on both offensive possessions who's been responsible for the zone entry, and she doesn't get picked up. Someone missed their assignment. She gets inside the 12-meter arc, and she still sees plenty of space ahead of her and blows a bouncer right by Alexi Held. That's 2 point-blank opportunities for Vassar. You got to be pleased if you're them, and if you're Ithaca, you keep missing assignments defensively. Trina Chow getting going, that's exactly what you want to see.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see how this Ithaca defense has really been the anchor of this team and really been the star players have come on the defensive side. I mean, this defense has been locked down for so many games, and now 2 quick missed assignments to get 2 quick goals for Vassar as another clean win there for Catherine Peacock as Vassar is going to be able to bring it up into the midfield zone.
And you have to wonder, is Caroline Wise getting figured out? Because that's 3 out of 4 draws going to the Brewers side of things now.
And this has not been just this game. I mean, consistently on the game against Skidmore on Tuesday and even the Hamilton game that we called last week, Caroline Wise was able to be figured out, as now it looks like it's going to be Vassar driving in, and it looks like it's going to be Annie Uyeki, for Vassar. Passing it down inside, takes a shot and scores a great goal there from Sen Seviro, and it's 3-1 Vassar. A quick strike offense from the Vassar Brewers, something that we haven't seen in a long time, Jeremy.
Well, something I'm noticing about this Vassar team, you look at the rest of the Liberty League, lots of offenses, they go stagnant, especially at the beginning of the game. They kind of get to their spot, and they rely on passing to set up their shots. Well, Vassar's passed it really well so far. A lot of these players on the wing, Sanzaviro, who's been the beneficiary of 2 goals so far, constantly running around the arc, tiring out her defenders, and by the time the shot clock starts to wind down and she's still going, she's going to find herself wide open in front of the net. So Vassar's changed their offensive approach in comparison to what Ithaca's seen a lot lately, and it's worked. They do have a 2-goal lead.
And also, this is very much similar to the start that they had when it was when Ithaca went on the road against Vassar when they lost to Vassar earlier in the season. They went down quite early in that game, and they had to fight their way back, and now they find themselves down 2 goals here early to start this game. And it looks like Caroline Wise is able to win this one pretty cleanly and get another draw control there for her. As Wise now brings it up into the offensive zone for the Bombers. Wise all the way back behind the net to Veach. Veach working from her office. Veach passing it up top to Chloe Nordyke. Nordyke now driving into the 8-meter zone. Takes a shot and it goes over the net. However, Ithaca will be able to retain possession with 60 seconds left on the shot clock. 12:20 to go in this game. Sydney Phillips passes it back behind the net to Chloe Nordyke. Nordyke now back up top to Kellish. Kellish now over to Maddie Hall. Hall driving in. Goes back behind the net to Veach. Veach up top to Kellish. Kellish over to Sydney Phillips. 35 seconds to go on the shot clock for Ithaca. Hall now driving in. Hall shoots and she scores, and Maddie Hall gets her 2nd goal of the game as Ithaca makes it a 1-goal game, 2-3 with 11:50 to go in the first quarter.
Another great job by Hall. Goes to her same spot, and uses her agility to get around the Vassar defense on the outside, and that's 2 bouncers that Johns has not been able to see. Good screens in front of the net. Ithaca gets back within 1.
I mean, this feels like the exact opposite of the game that we saw on Tuesday, Jeremy, where it was very, very great goaltending and a lot of saves made and not a whole lot of goals put up. And now, so far, not even 4 minutes into this game, and there's already 5 goals on the board.
Well, for Alexi Held's sake, I'll be fair. A lot of the shots she's had to face have been 2 feet in front of her, just in front of the crease. Those are really hard shots to save. As for Johns, I expect her to get more of an idea of what she's going to see, because a lot of those shots she's seen in the early going have been bouncers from that same spot on the right side of the arc.
Absolutely. I mean, Maddie Hall, more of the underrated player, an underrated offensive piece for this Ithaca offense, as now Jeremy is pointing out to me, there is also the other semifinal match going on right now at the same time between Union and William Smith, and Union has a 2-1 early lead over William Smith with 8:14 to go, and that would be great to see Union pull up an upset over William Smith.
It's a little premature, though, because, again, William Smith has not lost all year.
A lot of time to go. Veach working from her office, trying to get around unable to do so, still battling with 3 Brewers around her. Finally passes it all the way back to Wise and now to Nordijk. Nordijk now driving in, once again able to get around, shoots and scores! Chloe Nordijk ties the game at 3 goals apiece with 11:21 to go in the first quarter.
Some frustration from Johns there, and I think what happened, obviously Nordijk, same spot we've seen Maddie Hall score from, she just raised it to the top left post that time. But I think Trina Chow screened her own goaltender. She didn't see the shot because of Chow's stick, so Chloe Nordijk getting some help from the other team there, I guess.
I was about to say, Jeremy, I think that was Trina Cho now twice being beat by the Ithaca offensive, the Ithaca attacker that was assigned to her, and that's twice I think been Maddie Hall, and now Chloe Nordijk adds a tally to tie up this game. And as I was just saying a little while ago, it was going to be interesting to see how Ithaca was going to answer, and now they've answered with 2 back-to-back goals.
Right, offense is dominated. We've seen 6 total goals in less than 4 minutes. That's absurd. That's an absurd pace we're on. So
that is something that we haven't seen in a long time, Jeremy.
This might be a game where whoever figures it out defensively is probably going to prevail.
That could be very, very true. And it looks like there's going to be a violation called on Catherine Peacock, as it will be Caroline Wise passing it up to Maisie Veach, bringing it into the offensive zone. Veach driving in, working all the way down, shoots, and a great save there by Johns. Johns able to deflect that one. It looked like off the handle part of her stick almost, as now Vassar's going to be able to retain possession and bring it back up into the midfield zone.
Well, that's the first save we've seen all day, and what the Vassar defense did a great job of there is a scramble in the neutral zone, Alex.
Oh, and there's a big collision between Maddie Veach, and it looks like Lola Wright for Vassar, and it will go Ithaca's way here, as it will be Olivia Puffo bringing it back into the offensive zone for Ithaca.
But I want to go back to that last John save. The Vassar defense, the swarm of it that came to guard Veach, did a great job taking away her shot low and allowed Johns to have one area to go make the save there.
And now there's a stoppage of play here, and I'm not sure exactly what the stoppage is for, as there was nobody near Puppo. However, play will be restarted here as Le Natural has the ball behind the net for the Ithaca Bombers.
Natural has really replaced Haley Armstrong for whatever reason over these last 2 weeks as that facilitator behind the net. She's done a good job at it too.
Phillips now has it far side, trying to work her way around a couple of Brewers defenders, driving in now. Forced around behind the net, and now back over to Maddie Hall near side. Up top to Wise, over to Natural, around the horn to Kellish. Kellish still holding it. Passes it back to Maddie Hall behind the net. Hall now tried to get it to Veach, and it was deflected there. However, she's still able to retain possession as Wise has it now at the top of the 12. Wise driving in. Passes it back to Hall behind the net. Passing it up to Chloe Nordijk. An attempted pass, however, it's going to be picked off by Emma Torkelson. And now Vassar will be bringing it up into the midfield zone.
4 on 3, but she's got to hurry.
An odd man advantage here if they can hurry for the Brewers. And she's going to be checked there a little bit by Lainey Dutchison and forced back into the corner. Torkelson still has it, passes it around, and it's picked off by Julia Foster, and Julia Foster now bringing it up for the Ithaca Bombers.
Foster's done a great job throughout this tournament, what's been of it so far, getting in the passing lanes, especially on the end line, and forcing disruption as an offense tries to get set up.
And now it's Olivia Puppo with it for the Ithaca Bombers. Loses the ball. However, there will still be a foul called on the Vassar Brewers, and Puppo still has it behind the net now. Puppo over to Veach. Veach from her office, trying to work something, loses the ball, and there will be a foul called. And it looks like it's going to be on the Vassar Brewers, and there will be a free position shot here for Maisie Veach. First free position shot that we've seen this game for either side.
Bit of a sharp angle here, too. It'll be easy for the defense to collapse. I expect her to just reset.
That's normally one of the 2 outcomes. Either they drive towards the net or they will pass it to one of their teammates. It could be Elizabeth Green that she looks for at the top of the 12-meter fan. And she does exactly that. Passes it up to Elizabeth Green at the top of the 12. Green drives in, shoots, and scores! Elizabeth Green and the Ithaca Bombers have their first lead of the game. It's 4-3 Ithaca with 8:30 to go in the first quarter.
Yeah, we talked about Kazanjian's goaltending for Skidmore on Tuesday. I think we're seeing Lauren Johns have a little bit of a tougher time seeing shots just understanding where they're coming from, whether that's a screen in front of the net or just reading where the stick is going. Ithaca's offense, this is the best we've seen them play in a while, right? I know it's just been, like my mental math not killing me here. I mean, 5.5 minutes, 6.5 minutes, excuse me, but they're not turning the ball over. They've scored 4 goals already in the period, and they're just creating pressure, especially inside that 8-meter arc, successfully. So I think that's going to be something good, a good narrative to put out there, if you will.
Absolutely. I mean, you talk about we've seen struggles from this Ithaca offense throughout the season, and a lot of the turnovers. We talked about turnovers in the pregame before this game got started, Jeremy. Only 1 turnover for the Ithaca Bombers so far in this game, and now it looks like there's going to be a scramble for the ball here. It's going to be able to be picked up by Elizabeth Green, and another draw control win for Ithaca. Green passes it back to Caitlin Russell now. Russell over to Puppo. Puppo going up top to Wise. Wise now driving in, gets checked hard there, and there will be a foul called on the Brewers.
Wise takes such a beating every day. She draws so much attention because she's so good at everything. So she gets doubled in every zone of the field, and she gets hit up high a lot.
Chloe Nordyke now driving and circling around. Nordyke passes it over to Natural, and Aaron passes, and it's going back towards the restraining line, and it looks like there's going to be a foul once again called on the Brewers, and it'll remain Ithaca ball. Or excuse me, it's going to be a foul called against the Ithaca Bombers, as it's now going to be Annie Uyeki with the ball for the Brewers.
Alex, I just give a compliment regarding turnovers, and there you go.
Turn it straight over. And now it's Olivia Shine for the Brewers bringing it up. Passing it over to Lola Wright. Wright now all the way over to Maddie Cretton. Cretton now at the top of the 12. Passing it back over to Riley Mulcahy. Mulcahy now behind the net to Sanseviro. Sanseviro now passing it up in all the way back up top to Tess Billings. Billings now going behind the net to Anna Uyeki. Uyeki being guarded tightly by Caitlin Russell. Only 35 seconds to go on the shot clock for Vassar. There's going to be a foul called against Russell.
Lola Wright previously had a centering feed. Pretty much was going to be able to put that home, but you couldn't corral it.
Absolutely. It is Riley Mulcahy with the ball. She shoots and she scores, and Vassar has just tied the game 4-4 with 6:30 to go in the first quarter.
Yeah, something's in the air defensively because Mulcahy just threw that through a swarm of defenders and just traffic in front of the net, and I think Hell didn't see it. She shifted to her left. The ball went to her right. It's been a weird game. 8 goals already at this stage of the game is a lot.
Especially considering we talked about in the pregame show how dominant Lexi Hell's been and the crazy number of saves she's been having. No saves recorded so far for Lexi Held, and only 1 for Lauren Johns. I mean, this is the definition of a shootout game in lacrosse, I think, Jeremy.
Right.
And we're getting the exact, because we didn't really expect this coming into this game, considering we've seen such a defensive masterclass over the past couple of games.
Well, it's a very different game than what we saw against Skidmore, where it's a lot of passing, a lot of standing around, a lot of isolation lacrosse, and now it's just there's a lot of off-ball work being done offensively, more so than we've seen against Skidmore and against Hamilton the other day.
And it looks like now Caroline Wise is going to be able to win another draw control cleanly now. She is doubling that advantage. It's now 7-3 in draw controls for the Ithaca Bombers, and there's going to be a foul called against the Vassar Brewers as Veach drives in and tries to get a shot off. However, there will be still a foul called in a free position shot for Veach, but once again, it'll be from an off angle.
Veach just being powerful on her net drive. So many players come to her, but you almost have to foul her when she gets in that close.
Absolutely. One of the most dominant players on offensively for the Ithaca Bombers team. Veach will now drive in and try and take a shot. She shoots and she scores, and Ithaca has their lead right back. It's 5-4 Ithaca with 6:09 to go in this first quarter.
Make it 9 goals, almost 8 minutes and change in.
We're on a race. We're on a race pace right now for this lacrosse game. I mean, it is a shootout here in this semifinal match.
I know I said it a lot at the beginning, but last year this was a blowout. 19-2 Ithaca won here at Higgins Stadium, and then obviously we talked about the upset with Vassar winning in Poughkeepsie earlier in April. But you think both teams have really changed the way they're playing each other since that day. And I think Ithaca knows that Vassar's capable of beating them, and I think Vassar also knows that Ithaca's going to change their approach because what happened the first time didn't work. They have the home crowd behind them as well. But both goaltenders have to play a little bit better, and that goes all the way back to the defenses playing in front of them.
Definitely, for sure. We've definitely seen a lack of defensive play for both teams here so far in this game, as it looks like it is going to be Vassar who gets the draw control win, with Tess Billings now bringing it into the offensive zone for the Brewers, and there will be a foul called against Ithaca as she got shoved out of bounds. And now it will be, once again, Riley Mulcahy passing it down all the way over to Annie Uyeki. Now all the way around behind the net to Maddie Cretin. Cretin loses it for a second. Still can't corral it for a second. Finally is able to. Cretin now driving in. Working against Olivia Puppo. Forced to pass it over to Annie Uyeki. Uyeki passes it inside all the way to Sanserviro. And now it's going to go all the way around to Callie Ringer near side. Ringer up top to Annie Uyeki. Uyeki forced out, and now passing it all the way back down. It looks like to Tess Billings. Billings now over to Sanserviro. Sanserviro trying to get a feed to Uyeki, and it's going to be denied there, and the ball will go out of bounds, and it'll be Ithaca ball with Caroline Wise bringing the ball up into the midfield zone for the Bombers.
Finally, a defensive stop. No shots get to held, and with the way this game's being played, if you're the Bombers, you appreciate that very much.
Absolutely, and it's maybe taking their Ithaca's defense a little bit of time, as it looks like there's going to be a scrum for it in the midfield zone, and Lena Terrell is going to be able to keep it, and driving into the 8-meter zone, a little bit of an odd-man play here, drives all the way towards the net, and no foul called. She did get hit up high a little bit, and now it's going to be Trina Cho bringing it back up for the Vassar Brewers.
I think they missed one there.
Absolutely, there's going to be a foul called on Wise there, as now it's Sanserviro who bringing it up for Vassar. Now it's over to Tess Billings. Billings, far side. Passes it down to Annie Uyeki. Uyeki passes it right in front of the net. An amazing save from Lexi Held, as it was Callie Ringer who had a wide open shot against Lexi Held one-on-one with no defender on her.
Great save by Held, but if you're the defense, you can't allow that. There's no one in front of the net.
And a hard foul there by Sanserviro, and it looks like there is going to be a yellow card issued on a hit there against Caitlin Russell. And now it's going to be, it looks like 2 minutes of an advantage for the Bombers, who is now a woman up in this game.
Yeah, the woman up at the category Ithaca does well with 14 goals.
A major opportunity here to get a multi-goal lead for the first time in this game for the Ithaca Bombers.
And I understand we've seen a fast pace, but you have 2 minutes, right? You don't want to give Vassar women down opportunity.
No need to rush. No need to rush.
I want to see them set up and take advantage here.
Especially since we saw a shorthanded goal for Skidmore against this Ithaca defense on Tuesday, as Maddie Holland now drives into the crease and gets checked there, and she loses it for a second. However, Ithaca able to keep possession, as now it's Elizabeth Green passing it over to Sydney Phillips far side. Phillips now all the way to Beach. Or excuse me, that was Lily Cody. Natural now, down low to Nordyke. Nordyke back up top to Natural. Over to Green. Green over to Phillips. Phillips gets checked hard by Trina Chow, and it looks like it's going to be a scrum for it there. And Veach able to pick it up as Chow lost her stick for a second. Veach passing up top, back up top to Elizabeth Green. Lily Cody now one-on-one shoots, and she scores. And now Ithaca has their first two-goal lead, of the game, as it's 6-4 with 2:44 left to go in the first quarter.
Lily Cody, great agility there. Great display of speed from the corner of the 8-meter fan, driving right to the right post. Someone missed an assignment again. A lot of times when we see these net drives, we see these players collapse, come pressure the attacker up high, and force him to make a pass towards the center of the turf. It's usually so clogged up. But Cody, known for her speed, like she is, able to go right to the net and make Johns make a really tough play on the goal.
She did a great job of making a clean cut outside to juke her defender and then drove straight to the crease and was able to get a nice shot there. And now with 2:44 left to go in this first quarter, Ithaca has a two-goal lead here after being down 2 goals, 3-1 earlier in this game.
Semifinal round, Union was up 3-2, but William Smith is now up 4-3 again.
William Smith, as we talked about, is one of the top 5 teams in the country ranked, and so it would be very surprising to see them not win that game.
Ithaca lost to Union as well. So you have William Smith, the team that's been dominant across college lacrosse all season, and then the other 2 teams are teams that essentially, air quotes here, upset Ithaca as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's really pick your poison for the Bombers here, no matter who you have to necessarily face. As Caroline Wise wins the draw control for the Bombers off of a violation from the Brewers. She drives straight all the way into the 8-meter zone, shoots and scores an easy walk-in goal straight down Broadway for Caroline Wise, who makes it 7-4 Ithaca with 2:33 to go in this first quarter.
We gotta start getting ready to see like what the record is for goals in a quarter for the Ithaca Bombers.
It could very well be close
in the Liberty League this year, because 7 goals, you're on pace for 28, and you still have 2:33 to play.
And now a timeout called by head coach Judy Finnerty for the Vassar Brewers, who's looking to regroup here a little bit. And now Finnerty, with 30 years experience now, head coach of this Vassar Brewers team. What are you telling your team right now if you're Finnerty, Jeremy?
Calm down. The Vassar is playing on their heels. On defense, they're not doing their goaltender any favors, and they're not putting any pressure on these players from the 12-meter mark down. You're supposed to put a body on someone, and we've seen Elizabeth Green, we've seen Caroline Wise, Lily Cody on the woman up, and Maddie Hall twice at the beginning of this game have easy drives right to the net without any pressure. That's not defense that needs to be played. Ithaca's already more than halfway to their goal total against Vassar the first time around. So clearly something's changed. Something's been noticed. So if you want to be a playoff team like Vassar is, somewhere they haven't been the last few seasons, you got to adapt on the fly. And Coach Pennerty, you said she's in her 3rd decade of Vassar coaching. She's got to relay that to her team right now.
Well, I mean, obviously it's a lot of experience, but also you mentioned how, like, trying to be a playoff team, and I mean, really it's about making adjustments in-game, and those in-game adjustments are oh so key, especially in a game like Lacrosse, where you can have a lot of different stoppages and a lot of different breaks in order to make adjustments in those games, and so we'll see whether Judy Finnerty is able to make those adjustments. And now, looking over at the other side for Ithaca, if you're head coach Carrie Moore, Jeremy, what are you telling your team right now?
They're really offensively, there's not really any adjustments that are dire, but you look defensively, right? You want to make sure Lexi Held gets in rhythm, and that's making the shots on goal a little more difficult, because all of Vassar's goals, all 4 of them, have been point blank right in front of that small crease you see in front of the net. Make them take shots from further out, make them wind the shot clock down, make them play with more desperation. We see Vassar play with that desperation and that lack of control defensively, make them translate that to the offensive end as well.
I will say Vassar does have the highest shot percentage in the Liberty League at 500, and so it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out here. And obviously, Lexi Held coming off an 18-save performance on Tuesday against Skidmore, only 1 save so far late in this first quarter, and so definitely a very different storyline here.
Absolutely, and if you're Ithaca, right, we've seen Caroline Wise start to adjust, and she's been phenomenal in the draw circle for the last 5 minutes plus. A real chance here to go up 5-6 goals before the end of the quarter and really make Vassar start to worry. And once the team starts to worry, they either respond, they come right at you, and they go on a run of their own, or they completely fall apart.
I mean, it's almost flipping the script on the game earlier in the season when Ithaca went on the road to play Vassar and they lost, where Ithaca was down quite early in that game, and they had to struggle to fight their way back to make that game really close, as Caroline Wise looked like she was going to get the draw control win. However, it is Catherine Peacock who gets the win for the Vassar Brewers.
Peacock, a first year who hasn't started a lot, but getting trusted with some big minutes.
Olivia Shine passing it all the way up to Lola right now for Vassar. Right, all the way down to San Severo. San Severo passes it all the way inside the crease, and it looks like it went off the goalpost. The right goalpost made the save there, as there's going to be a foul called on Vassar, as Phoebe Hosford's going to be able to bring it out for the Bombers.
That did go off the goalpost, because the shot hit it, it went forward where Hosford picked it up, and Held was looking around, not
She
knowing
got
where
beat.
it was. So she got beat there, obviously, like you said, Alex, in a big break.
I mean, we saw quite a lot of goalposts on Tuesday against Skidmore. We saw Skidmore have 4 shots go off the goalpost against Lexi Held, and now we're seeing one here early for Vassar as Chloe Nordyke now has it behind the net for the Ithaca Bombers. Nordyke now driving around, looking for an opening. Nordyke passes it all the way behind the net to Hall. Now over to Veach. Veach now over to Phillips. Going back up top to Le Natural. Back to Hall. Hall now driving in. Passes it over to Chloe Nordyke, who shoots and scores. An easy good tap-in goal for Chloe Nordyke, who makes it 8-4 with a minute to go here in this first quarter.
Lauren Johns looks lost. Chloe Nordyke caught that in front of the net, but she was drifting away, so the shot was going to be off balance. And what Johns did is she comes out to try to contest, but what she is actually doing is giving her the entirety of the other side of the net. And so Nordyke has an easy tap into that right side. 8-4, Alex. It's a crazy score with 1 minute to go.
It really is, and also that was just going top shelf for Chloe Nordyke, and an easy goal for her, and her 45th goal of the season so far. She's top 10 in the Liberty League in goals. And now Ithaca with a 4-goal lead here to start out towards the end of this first quarter. I mean, this is the exact opposite of what we saw earlier in the season when Ithaca went on the road, where Ithaca was down quite by, I believe it was a 4-goal margin early on, and having to fight their way back. And now it's Vassar who's on the recipient end of having to fight their way back here with a home crowd behind them here at Higgins Stadium.
Right, but at this point, if you're Coach Carey Moore, this is the exact game you want your team playing, a fast pace where you trust your team to be the more physical one and get ground balls and get good shots in front of the net as Vassar wins a crucial draw.
Yeah, Catherine Peacock able to win that draw, and now it'll be Riley Mulcahy bringing it in for the Brewers. Now over to Billings. Billings now all the way back across to Torkelson. Torkelson down now to San Severo. San Severo passes it up into the middle, shoots and scores for Maddie Cretton. Her 46th goal of the season makes it 8-5 with 34.9 seconds to go in the first quarter.
That's something the Bombers are doing a great job of throughout the first part of this game, is really neutralizing Maddie Cretton and making sure she wasn't getting involved in any of the offense, but she finally able to get free, cuts through the middle of the 8-meter arc, and finds herself right there for the goal.
I mean, that was a really easy goal for Cretton there. I mean, she's in the top 5 in the Liberty League in goals with her 46 on the season, and right outside the crease, an easy goal for her. Still a 3-goal lead for Ithaca here. If you're head coach Carey Moore, you have to be really happy with how this first quarter has gone.
Right, and you have 8 goals, but you don't want to let up 5 either. So I think the defensive adjustments will continue, but as long as the offense continues to play like it has, I don't think there will be any concern from her the rest of the way.
Absolutely, and I mean, the draw control margin has closed. It used to be 7-3, and now it's 7-7 now, as Catherine Peacock able to win another draw control here for the Vassar Brewers. Peacock now driving in, passing it over to Mulcahy. Mulcahy back up top to Torkelson. Torkelson now over to Billings. Billings now over to Uyeki. Uyeki stumbling a little bit there, getting checked again. And a foul will be called on Caitlin Russell.
Don't love that play by Russell because Uyeki is sort of frantically wrapping around, not knowing where she's entirely going, and Russell's doing a great job being physical, but just a little overzealous that time. I don't think there was a need to get that aggressive.
I think maybe she could have spared the second check there,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
but I still think she did a good job of forcing Uyeki out of the zone. Now Uyeki will have a free position shot from a really off angle. A pass inside to San Servino, who shoots and scores. Or excuse me, it was San Severo. And now it is 8-6 here with 4 seconds to go on the game clock in the first quarter.
You know, in basketball, right, when you have a player that runs the baseline, trying to get open on the block and get a lay-in, Kateri Sanzaviro does a great job of just tiring out the defense on the end line. She's like Maisie Veach. Maisie Veach really stands in one spot and just muscles her way in. Sanzaviro, you know, Roadrunner and Looney Tunes, that's exactly what she does. She just continues to run back and forth, and then eventually, she's got 3 goals already, and she's done it for a reason.
I mean, San Severo now going up to 3rd on her own team behind Torkelson and Cretton in goals. And now only a 2-goal lead here. Ithaca's definitely lost a little bit of their momentum here in this game, and I think also the draw controls have a big part to do with that, as now it's an even margin, and Vassar's all of a sudden drawing this game a lot closer. As now it looks like Caroline Wise will be able to get a draw control win as there's a stoppage here. And
Point one on with a second left.
With 1 second left, as the horn sounds and the first quarter ends, Ithaca leads 8-6 over Vassar. Jeremy, what are your takeaways from this first quarter?
No defense. This is like, a modern day
This is all offense.
NBA game.
Yeah.
No defense played. And
it's like the Golden State Warriors.
Right, sure. We know Ithaca plays a very good brand of defense when they're at their best, but they're letting a lot of open shots in the front of the net. Thankfully, they've done the same vice versa. So, again, Vassar did a great job. They looked like they were going to get blown out at one point, and they've come back with 2 draw control wins and 2 goals. I think whoever really figures out how to stop the other on a more consistent basis, and that's easier. That's obvious. That's obvious, right? That's a easy statement to make. But I still see Ithaca coming out because we've seen them be better defensively at their peak.
For sure. I mean, we've talked about throughout this broadcast how Ithaca's defense has been really the true anchor of their team. They've been able to rely on that defensive, unit in order to create really hard shots for their opponents and give Lexi Held easier saves. We haven't seen that so far, but, on the other hand, we also haven't seen this offense been nearly as dominant as what they have been so far in this game. And so it's really great to see the offense going, and especially, for a team that hasn't been the most, consistent offensively, to have 8 goals in the first quarter, I feel like Kerry Moore is pretty happy with that.
Right. And I don't think it's sustainable, though, Alex, where you rely on 8 goals a period and hope you outshoot the other team. So I think what Coach Kerry Moore is going to do in these breaks and future timeouts is just continue to try to adjust that defense and just rely on the fact that the offense is going to work its way out the rest of the way.
And quickly now, if you're Judy Finnerty here, are you happy with anything so far? Really, are you happy with any portion of this Vassar Brewers team?
No, I think if you're Coach Finnerty, you're worried about Lexi Held and the amazing week she had. She was Liberty League Performer of the Week, and then had a sensational quarterfinal round against Skidmore, and they've beaten her. They figured out a way to get her off her toes. But again, it's defense. I don't think either coach has a problem with their offense right now, Alex. I think they're actually fuming at the fact that they can't force a turnover and get a shot that's outside the 8-meter fan.
Yeah, only 4 caused turnovers for the entire first quarter between both teams, 2 for each side. And, I mean, that's a really low number for one quarter in a lacrosse game.
14 total goals. Imagine a lacrosse game with 56 total goals in regulation. That's what we're on pace for right now. I guarantee you we don't see it, but that's what we're on pace for.
I hope we don't. Or it's gonna be quite a long game.
Yeah, it's been quite the choppy game already. Union William Smith is tied at 5 with 9:34 to go in the second.
That's the exact opposite of this game.
Right.
I mean, that's the kind of game that we've seen this past couple weeks.
And I know we're calling it the Vassar, and I don't know how long this is gonna last. But give credit where it's due to Union because they're hanging around right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at least giving William Smith a little bit of a scare now to where they have to really work for a win. They haven't had to work for one in quite a long time. As now we see Vassar and Ithaca now coming out of their huddles, going back onto the lineup. Ithaca with a 2-goal lead. However, there's still quite a lot of time for this Vassar team to come back. And like we've been saying all broadcast, this Vassar team is known for pulling off upsets. And I would not be surprised to see this Vassar team still hanging around when it comes down to the fourth quarter.
Oh, neither would I. And look, as good as the Ithaca team's reputation is, and they're still ranked top 25 nationally, I know that doesn't mean anything, but they played so many close games this year, especially in this conference. I don't think Vassar's going down without a fight.
Yeah, I mean, their conference record is 7-3, Ithaca's. However, it's really been so tight for so many games. They only beat St. Lawrence by 2 goals. They beat Clarkson by 3 goals. I mean, it's been tight games all year long for this Ithaca Bomber squad.
Another delay to start the quarter here. Coach Kerry Moore is talking to the officials about something.
I don't know exactly what she'd be talking to the refs about. However, it's once again peacocking Wise in the draw control circle for Ithaca, or for the matchup.
William Smith just took a 6-5 lead.
It's kind of what we expected, though, Jeremy. I mean, we expected William Smith to be blowing out Union by this point.
The crazy thing about this is you have goalie Morris Meter for William Smith and Sidney Wiltz for Union. Wiltz has made 6 saves on 12 shots. Smeater has not saved a shot on 5 shots on goal.
Wow. Quite a storyline there. As the second quarter gets started, and it looks like there's a little bit of scrum for it here, and Caroline Wise is able to get the draw control win and pick it up there for Ithaca, as now it's Sydney Phillips passing it over to Maisie Veach to bring it into the offensive zone.
That's what she needed because Wise lost her last 2, and Ithaca's lead was dwindling down, and you want to see them regain it here.
Veach now behind the net to Nordijk. Nordijk now going back up top to Maddie Hall. Hall now driving in. Hall going back around behind the net to Veach. Veach up around the horn all the way now to Kellish. Kellish over to Natural. Natural back to Maddie Hall. Back around to Veach. 50 seconds to go on the shot clock here as Veach tries to work it in from her office. Now all the way back up top to Kellish. Kellish now driving in, beats her man, shoots, and it just goes wide to the left. A prime scoring opportunity there. Ithaca still has possession, though, as Veach looks to go back in. Natural shoots and scores, and Ithaca has a 3-goal lead as Natural makes it 9-6 with 13:57 to go in this second quarter.
We Natural, another Bomber goal scorer on the board. So now Green, Natural, Cody, Veach, Hall, Wise, and Nordijk have all provided scoring for the Bombers.
I mean, spread out the offense. I mean, that's what you love to see if you're an Ithaca Bombers fan.
Right, and you look at Vassar, you have 4 separate goal scorers. Zanziviro has 3 or 6. That's half of them, obviously.
Zanziviro has been dominant so far in this game. And looking at the Ithaca offensive possession real quick, there were 2 prime scoring chances as Lexi Kellish had a prime scoring opportunity that just went wide, and then Natural was able to get a feed there from Veach to get a quick goal herself. The offense still definitely firing on all cylinders for Ithaca. And it looks like there's still a bit of a scrum for it now, as there's going to be a foul called against Caroline Wise there on a little bit of a hit there. And now Vassar will have possession with Livia Shine. Shine now passing it up to Torkelson. Torkelson now swinging it over to Boges. Boges bringing it into the offensive zone for Vassar. Boges now over to Mulcahy. Now Sanseviero. Back over to Lola Wright. Wright now looking to make a pass back to Sanseviero. Sanseviero over to Uyeki. Uyeki at the far end of the 8-meter circle. Shoots, and it just goes wide. Lexi Held is trying to reach for it, and it looks like there's going to be a foul called against Caitlin Russell and a free position shot here for Uyeki.
Yeah, that's the second time recently we've seen Russell get a little too overzealous. Big chance for Vassar to rebound here.
Absolutely. Vassar, this will be their first free position shot opportunity of the game with 13 minutes to go here in the second quarter. Uyeki drives in, shoots, and it got deflected, it looked like, by Olivia Puppo. However, Vassar still able to retain possession with Sanseviero. Sanseviero now over to Mulcahy. Mulcahy trying to work against Kellish. Now back up top to Sanseviero. Now over to, it looks like, Torkelson. Torkelson drives in, and another foul will be called there. And it looks like it's going to be another free position shot here for Vassar.
Right, and I think it did a great job in the first period not fouling inside the 8-meter arc, but now they're getting a little too frantic. They maybe tried to become a little more physical with their defense, and it's not working right now.
Now it is it is Sanseviero who shoots and scores, who makes it a 2-goal game. Once again, it's 9-7 with 12:38 to go in the second.
Held's reaction time was so great over the last few games, and it's just not there right now. Obviously, she's still a phenomenal goaltender, but Vassar has clearly figured something out. They've unlocked the key in some aspect of how to beat her, and they're back within 2.
Absolutely, and now, 1-1, blow for blow right now, back and forth in this game a little bit, and now it's going to be, once again, a very tight game. It's still only a 2-goal game, anybody's game still. those who wait, it'll be Wise and Peacock again in the draw control circle. And it goes straight up, a little bit of a scrum for it, and Torkelson is able to come away with it for Vassar. Torkelson now bringing it all the way behind the net now. Passing it back up top to Matty Cretin. Cretin now driving in. Cretin passing it over to Mulcahy. Mulcahy now driving and shooting, and a deflection there off Alexi Held. A great save there for her. There's that reaction time that we were talking about, Jeremy.
They got a small piece of the stick on it. We'll see where possession goes here.
Looks like it's going to go to Vassar still, with Eniuyeki still able to retain possession. And now it's all the way back up top to Mulcahy. Mulcahy now driving in, passing it over to Billings. Billings, who looks like there was a scramble for possession as Eniuyeki now has it behind the net for Vassar. A little bit of a collision there. Once again, another foul called against Phoebe Hosford. And it looks like they're going to call that. They are going to call that a free position shot for Eniuyeki. However, it's going to be from a very off angle.
We've seen a lot of free positions from that area of the field so far.
3 straight free position shots now for Vassar. Eniuyeki decides not to take a shot, loses the ball for a second. Hosford and Wise are trying to corral it, and it looks like Hosford's going to be able to get it out to Maggie Mandel, who loses it for a second, and a foul will be called against Vassar as Ithaca is able to retain possession.
Vassar was dominating the zone throughout the start of this period. Ithaca gets a much-needed turnover.
And now it's Maisie Veach driving in for the Ithaca Bombers. Veach now back over to Chloe Nordyke. Nordyke now driving into the 8-meter zone. Nordyke passes over to Lane Natural. Natural being held up, and there's going to be a delayed call, or no call actually. However, it looked like Natural was held up, as now there is going to be a foul called. However, it will be on Ithaca as Mulcahy's able to come away with it for Vassar.
That's some of the best defense we've seen Vassar play. They clog the lane on the Ithaca drive, and they force a turnover.
And now it is Kaylee Ringler for Vassar bringing it in. Now back over to Billings. Billings now behind the net to San Severo. Now back up top to Ringler. Ringler now over to Billings once again. Now all the way up top to Mulcahy. Mulcahy now driving into the 8-meter zone. Shoots, and another good save there by Lexi Held. And now a pass up top that's a little bit errant now, trying to get it to Caroline Wise. However, it will be a turnover as Torkelson's able to pick it back up for Vassar. And now play will get restarted with Billings. Back over to Mulcahy, back to Billings. Over to Torkelson. Still 75 seconds to go on the shot clock for Vassar. Now over to Wright. Wright now back behind the net to San Severo. San Severo back to Wright. Wright trying to make a move with Maggie Mandela. Missed play, missed opportunity there, as it was Billings who had the opportunity right in front of Lexi Held.
I think Tess Billings just fanned on it.
And now it looks like there's going to be a little bit of a possession battle for it here, as Maisie Veach is able to come up with it for the Bombers. And Aaron passed, though, immediately. And now it's Trina Cho for Vassar, bringing it up back into the offensive zone. A couple turnovers now for Ithaca.
Yeah, Veach kind of threw that into a swarm of red jerseys, and Trina Chow picks it up right off the ground and immediately, with her speed, rushes it in. Just great awareness by her. She plays midfield, but she's more of a defender, and she creates offensive possessions with numbers. And I think that's something Vassar can really appreciate.
Billings now at the top of the 12, and that turnover margin is back in Vassar's favor. Ithaca now up to 6, with Vassar only at 4. Now it's Mulcahy. Mulcahy back over to Ringler. Ringler back to Mulcahy. Now over to Billings. Billings over to Torkelson. Torkelson being defended. Loses the ball there for a second. And it looks like there's going to be a foul called on Torkelson as Caitlin Russell's able to come away with it for the Bombers. An immediate errant pass, almost picked off by Chow once again. However, Le Natural is able to corral it for a second as Veach now trying to come up with it and still scrum for the ball as now it's finally Olivia Shine for Vassar able to come away with it. Still being harassed by Natural.
I think Vassar's adjustment at the break was they realized Ithaca makes a lot of quick passes in their own zone.
Try to intercept those passes.
Yeah, and that's the last place you want to turn it over.
Lola right now in the offensive zone for Vassar. Over to San Severo. Ithaca's not been able to get out of their own defensive zone for quite a long time now with only 7:32 to go in the second quarter. San Severo still holds it, guarded by Puppo. Over to Torkelson. Back to San Severo. Back over to Cretin. Cretin now double teamed. Cretin's still able to get around it. And there's going to be a foul called there. And it looks like it's going to be against Elizabeth Green. And there will be another free position shot here for Vassar.
And this is Maddie Cretin. We know how dangerous she can be. She, again, like I said, she's been kind of negated. Aside from that one goal.
This does look like it's a good enough angle for her to drive and take a shot. She passes it over to Torkelson, who shoots, and it's a score. And it goes into the back of the net off of a deflection. And now Vassar cuts the game to a one-goal lead here with 7:07 to go in the second quarter. It's 9-8.
Well, that's just Cretin's awareness, right? She sees her teammate cutting towards the net, and obviously she's going to get so much attention, Alex, because you mentioned it. It's a great angle for a net drive on a free position opportunity. Vassar's within one. Don't blink.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a couple of minutes ago, or going into the second quarter, it was a 3-goal game. And now all of a sudden it's down to 1-goal lead here for Ithaca. Ithaca's defense, you know, they were trying to defend Vassar for so long. It felt like it was just 5 minutes where Vassar was in the offensive zone and they just could not get it out. Once again, those turnovers that we talked about earlier, Jeremy, coming back now a little bit in the Ithaca Bombers, and they're starting to pay for them. Once again, Wise and Peacock in the draw control circle. And now it's a little bit of a battle for it still. Being driven towards the offensive restraining zone, and it looks like there's going to be a foul called on Callie Ringer, or excuse me, a violation called on Ringler. And now it is over to Nordyke in the offensive zone for the Bombers.
I want to see Maisie Veach get a chance on the end line here to do damage. She hasn't been involved in a while.
Yeah, Maisie Veach has not done much operating from her office. Now it's Elizabeth Green who takes a shot, and a good save there by Lauren Johns in order to get that save.
That was a lucky save. I don't like to say that often, but Johns jumped up high, and the ball went off her leg. So she misread that completely, but got a break.
An unfortunate break there for the Bombers as it's once again Trina Chow with some speed coming into the offensive zone for Vassar. A little bit of an odd-man play here for San Severo. Passes it back over to Torkelson, who takes a shot and scores. And Vassar has tied the game 9-9 with 6:14 to go in the second quarter.
What a game we have here, Alex. I haven't seen Held struggle this much, and I haven't seen Ithaca struggle to get back defensively so much.
Yeah, another odd-man rush there against the Bombers' defense, and Vassar able to take advantage.
And I'm going to credit the senior out of Sunnyvale, California, again, Trina Chow, for her speed. She has been the fastest player on the field at times, and she set that offensive play up from the defensive zone all the way into the offensive zone, left to right, forces Ithaca to call it for time.
Absolutely. I mean, Ithaca at one point had a 3-goal lead in this game, and now they have no lead at all. It's tied up 9-9. And now, what do you think Carrie Moore needs to adjust here for her players in order to get back into this game?
It's hard. I think the pressure is going to have to come higher because you can't really wait until Vassar gets set up, because I think it hasn't been as quick. So I think we've seen the Brewers do a great job of forcing turnovers when Ithaca has the ball and trying to get set up. So I think the Bombers have to try to do the same. They have to try to replicate what Vassar does. If that makes any sense. I don't know why.
I mean, for sure there, Jeremy. But also I think the turnovers is something that she's going to be harping on. It's now Ithaca, who had less turnovers than Vassar in the first quarter, now late into the second quarter with only 6:14 left to go. They have 2 more turnovers than Vassar. So definitely the turnovers have started to come back for the Bombers. And we talked about how much that's their Achilles heel earlier in this broadcast.
Right. And I wouldn't even say turnovers are the big issue. I think it's speed. Ithaca is a veteran group. They only have one senior, but they have a lot of juniors on this team who carry a lot of the weight.
Yeah, 8 juniors on this Ithaca Bombers team. And, I mean, you mentioned speed. It's been Trina Cho for the Vassar Brewers who have been really just coming in with so much speed.
Yeah, and I think, again, you look at Trina Chow. She kind of, we talk about facilitators behind the net a lot. She really sets everything up. She's the point guard, if you will. So she's going to rush it in, and you're going to see players from each side on Vassar crash the post, and she's going to try to make a quick pass and get an offensive play set up and make it really hard for Hell to get a stick on it.
Absolutely. And now, looking over at this Vassar side, I mean, what do you think Judy Finnerty is telling her team right now? I mean, they've been able to come back in this game and tie it up now.
You can't tell her to change anything. You got to be ready to adapt, but you don't want to really say anything too much right now because what Vassar's doing is working.
Absolutely. I mean, maybe a little bit of an adjustment on the defensive side in order to shore up that defense a little bit more. But other than that, I think she'll leave the offense probably about the same.
Yeah, no question.
As now both teams are coming out of their huddles here to get play restarted. 6:14 left in the second period. What would you like to see here from Ithaca, Jeremy, in order to see them get back onto the offensive side?
It all starts in the middle, Alex. That's all you can really say.
Absolutely. I mean, Caroline Wise, she is leading the draw control margin. It is in Ithaca's favor, but it's only by 1. Ithaca has 10 draw controls. Vassar has 9. And earlier, that margin was much, much bigger, with Ithaca having, I believe, a 4 draw control margin of lead at one point in this game. Now, as we get set, it looks like Caroline Wise is going to be able to win this one cleanly now and get it up to Maisie Veach, who will bring it into the offensive zone. Veach now driving in, trying to look for an opening, drives into the 8-meter, gets double-teamed and loses the ball, and it's Lauren Johns who has it for the Vassar Brewers.
Veach trying to do too much there. She gets sandwiched in front of the goalpost and goes right to Johns, who's had a lot of pressure taken off her in this quarter.
Once again, like I said earlier in the broadcast, Veach is leading this team in turnovers. And now a 2-on-1 there, where 2 Ithaca players able to, however, it looks like it's going to be Riley Kelly who is able to keep it in play for the Vassar Brewers. It's now an odd man advantage now, once again, for the Vassar Brewers if they can hurry with Callie Ringer with the ball. Passing it up to Sanseviro. Sanseviro into the middle, and a shot there goes wide by Maddie Cretton. And that's one Cretton you maybe expect a hit on that one.
Yeah, I just want to start at the beginning of the play. Kelly, like a hockey player, sweeps it back into the field of play.
And Uyeki shoots, and it just goes wide. It looks like it just bounced off of Lexi Held's foot and just goes wide of the goal line. Sorry to cut you off there, Jeremy.
Oh, yeah. It was a great setup by Vassar to get that offensive possession going. Ithaca does catch a break, though, on the wide shot.
Now it's Lainey Dutcherson bringing it up, and there will be a foul called on Vassar, and Dutcherson will still retain possession. Now it's Maddie Hall with it for the Ithaca Bombers in the offensive zone. Hall behind the net to Veach. Veach near side in her office. Makes a move, cuts inside, shoots and scores. Maisie Veach operates from her office and scores with 4:27 to go in this second quarter. Makes it 10-9 Ithaca.
Veach operating from the end line to the middle of the turf, right in front of John. She stood no chance. It's a big goal for the junior.
Absolutely. Maisie Veach from her office, that area. She loves to operate from it. And once again gets another goal from that place. And now a little bit of instant momentum now back for the Ithaca Bombers after Vassar was able to come back all the way to tie the game now. And Veach able to get the momentum right back to Ithaca.
An update on the other semifinal game. William Smith had taken an 8-5 lead, but Union with 1 second left after making it 8-6. Greta Moorer, I should say, scored with a second left to make that 8-7. So Union's hanging tough. You got to give them credit. I don't know if they'll pull it out, but they're making it close.
I mean, it'd be certainly an interesting storyline to see if Union is able to pull out that game against William Smith. William Smith not having lost a game this entire season. And it looks like Sydney Phillips is able to get the draw control win here for Ithaca and bring it back into the offensive zone. Another draw control win for Ithaca and another opportunity. Phillips loses it for a second, able to get it over to Elizabeth Green. Green now.
Oh.
Maddie Hall calling for it
She
in the
was
middle of the
open.
8-meter zone and unable to get it to her in time as the Vassar defense adjusted quickly there.
She was wide open for a second. I think they just got it to her a little late.
She was open there for a second. And now Elizabeth Green calling a play a little bit. Now driving in all the way, shoots and scores, and Elizabeth Green makes it a 2-goal game, 11-9 here with 3:49 left to go in the second quarter.
Ever since the beginning of the second period, Ithaca's offense went a little cold, but now Veach and Green, 2 goals in less than 90 seconds.
They reignite that offense, and now it's back to firing on all cylinders. And now Ithaca back to a 2-goal lead and has all the momentum now. This has been a very streaky game, Jeremy, to where one side will get a couple goals in a row and then the other side will get a couple goals in a row.
Right. Vassar's always had the response, but sometimes it's a little unsustainable. If you're going to keep playing from behind, it's a constant uphill battle. You're not going to win the ball game. So if you're Ithaca, right, you want to try to blow them out here, win this 3:49.
Absolutely. I mean, for Ithaca, getting a few more goals to make it a 3 or 4-goal game would be massive for them headed into halftime. That draw control margin is back up to 3 in favor of Ithaca. And a long drive there by Catherine Peacock, and still a scrum for it. Elizabeth Green is able to come away with it, and a foul will be called against Ithaca. And it looks like it was any Yuki trying to get a little bit too aggressive there against the Ithaca players. Elizabeth Green now brings it into the offensive zone for the Ithaca Bombers. Green now goes behind the net to Nordijk. Nordijk far side. Circling around. Goes back, reverses course, shoots, and it goes off the crossbar. A shot there goes off the crossbar, and it looks like there's going to be a violation called on Ithaca, and now it'll be Vassar ball.
Another weird deflection. That's fitting for the game we've seen today.
I mean, we saw 4 posts and crossbar in the quarterfinal match against Skidmore on Tuesday, Jeremy, and now 2 so far in this game in the semifinals. Now it's going to be Riley Kelly bringing it up for the Vassar Brewers. Kelly coming all the way in. Perhaps another odd man advantage here. And now back up top to a little right as they reset. Now all the way across to Mulcahy. Mulcahy back to Cretin. Mulcahy once again. Mulcahy working against Julia Foster. Mulcahy driving in, shoots, and another good save there by Lexi Held. And now Held will get play restarted with a pass all the way up to Le Natural. Bombers maybe trying to get a little bit of a quick strike going here with 2 minutes to go in this second quarter. Now Maisie Veach has it. Perhaps an onside play, a 3-on-3 opportunity. Veach driving all the way in, tried to get there. However, she was cut off well by Olivia Shine. And a little bit of an errant pass now as Phillips is trying to scramble back for it and save it, unable to do so, and it'll be Vassar ball. Another turnover there with 1:43 left to go in the second quarter.
Just too much quick decision making. You want to settle it down here, especially with just less than 2 minutes to go in the half.
Maddie Cretin now bringing it in for the Vassar Brewers. Cretin still has it, drives in, gets fouled, and there will be a free position shot for Vassar here with 1:27 to go in this first half.
Chance for Vassar that you want to make do on. I want to see a net drive here by Cretin especially.
I mean, this is right in the middle. This is right down Broadway for Cretin here if she is able to get a clean start. And Cretin, the #1 goal scorer on this Vassar team, I would be expecting her to take a shot here. She drives it, she shoots, and it's a weak shot, and Lexi Held able to make the save relatively easily. And now with 1 minute, 20 seconds to go, the shot clock has been turned off as Caroline Wise brings the ball up for the Ithaca Bombers.
We certainly have seen Held's poise really improve throughout the course of this quarter, and I think that is a good sign when you look at the fact that there's still a half left to play and you have the lead.
Now it's Chloe Nordijk far side. Nordijk now circling around. Nordijk reverses course. Driving in all the way into the crease. A shot and a deflection there. No foul called as she went to the ground, and it's being able to be picked up by Callie Ringler for the Vassar Brewers with 47 seconds to go in this first half. Vassar trying to get one last goal here to make it a one-goal game going into halftime. 40 seconds still left to go. Over to Cretin, over to Sanseviro, who shoots and scores. Sanseviro makes it a one-goal game, 11-10 here, with 37.4 seconds to go in the half.
I think it really could have just stood there until 15 seconds left and drained some clock.
And now there's a goal going the other way.
They turn it over, and Sanseviro, who's been on a heater, as they say, could get their fourth tally of the game.
And once again, the 2-1 turnover margin, we talked about it in the pregame show, Jeremy. It's back for Ithaca now. We hadn't seen it the past couple games against Skidmore. However, now Ithaca with 11 turnovers to Vassar's 5. Back to that 2-1 margin that Ithaca has been trying to get rid of for so many games this season. 37.4 seconds, so still an opportunity potentially for Ithaca to answer if Caroline Weiss can get a clean draw control win here.
On the flip side, though, Vassar
could tie this game up. Yeah, exactly. Still an opportunity for either side here, depending on this draw control. It looks like Wise is going to be able to field it cleanly here. 30 seconds left to go in this first half. Now over to Maisie Veach. Veach now passes it, tried to pass it to to Lena Terrell. However, there was a misplay there, and Madison Bogus now for Vassar bringing it up. An errant pass, though, goes over the head of Lola Wright with 17 seconds to go in this first half, able to be picked up by Olivia Papa. A foul will be called against Vassar with 10 seconds left to go in this first half. Papa's going to have to hurry here. A long pass to get it over to Wise. She does able to get there. 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds up to Veach, who's going to shoot, and a save there by Lauren Johns as the buzzer sounds and the first half comes to an end. Ithaca is still able to retain their first half lead. 11-10 is the score at halftime. Jeremy, what are your takeaways from this half?
It's a messy half, right? I think there's going to be a lot of halftime discussion, and we'll see how it unfolds in the third.
Well, we'll be back in a short little while for the second half of this game where Jeremy Goldstein will have the call on play-by-play.
11-10, the Bombers lead over the Brewers, the Liberty League semifinal here at Higgins Stadium. I'm Jeremy Goldstein. Alongside me, Alex Chaprout. The winner will face the winner of Union and William Smith on Sunday. But first, Alex, a very sloppy half, as we like to allude to. You have a Bombers team that scored 8 goals in the first quarter, but then conceded over 5 in the second. A sloppy half for both teams. A lot of turnovers, lots of rough defense. The goaltending hasn't been supreme. What do you want to see adjustments on both sides?
Well, I think number one, I want to go back to the turnovers. And in the first quarter, the turnover margin was in Ithaca's favor. Vassar had more turnovers than what Ithaca had, which is what allowed them to go out to that great 8-goal first period that they had. However, now in the second, it's back to that 2-1 turnover margin that we've seen throughout the season that has been killing the Ithaca Bombers throughout the season. And now it's 12-6 in terms of turnovers, and Ithaca has a lot more. And so it's really, really going to be hard for them to win this game without cleaning up those turnovers. And I think that's the number one thing I want to see. And also, Lexi held after having a really rough first quarter. She did turn it on in the second, finishing the half with 7 saves.
Union currently trailing William Smith 9-7. So Ithaca currently beating Vassar 11-10. Nearly a high draw control win by Peacock, and the whistle blows, and they'll have to concede back to Ithaca. So left to right, the Bombers go as wise outlets to Phillips as the Bombers look to get set up. Sydney Phillips, a quiet half for her, no points on the dock, but we know she can get hot in a hurry. Elizabeth Green has 2 goals herself. So does Maddie Hall. The 2-play catch to start their first possession of period 3. Hall enters into a double. Will go behind the net for Chloe Nordyke as she looks to facilitate. Centering feed gets intercepted by Emma Torkelson, and Vassar will immediately look for the equalizer as Lola Wright looks to rush up into the offensive zone.
I just talked about Ithaca needing to clean up turnovers, and they immediately give one away.
Kateri Sanzaviro, who had 4 goals in the first half, 4 of Vassar's 10, centers one, and it goes into held stick. Was looking for Mulcahy.
That was a great play there by Phoebe Hosper, riding Mulcahy the entire way as she was cutting towards the net, and a great job there of deflecting that pass, making sure that Mulcahy couldn't get a shot off.
Mandel will begin the ensuing rush for the Bombers, trying to get the first goal of the half. Mandel will settle it down and retreat to allow Green to re-enter the offensive field. Veach and Nordyke play catch. This is Green at the catch at the top of the dotted arc. Green looks for the net drive. Goes left side. Will go back behind the net for Veach again. Traffic in front, so Veach opts to hold it with 43 to get one on goal. Wise swings for Phillips. Both offenses and defenses set with 13:08 to go in the quarter. Lee Natural looks to enter. Gets in front of the net, gets hit, puts one on goal, and Johns makes the save up high. Lauren Johns, just 6 saves in the first half, gets her 7th right there.
That was a really great play there by Olivia Shine, making sure that Lane Natural could not get a clean shot off and making it a very easy save for Lauren Johns.
Trina Chow scampers upfield as Vassar will once again look to tie this one up at 11. Uyeki lost it. Back on the turf it goes. Julia Foster bats it forward. Ahead of her it goes, and still a fight for it. Puppo got her stick on it. It'll go the Bombers' way.
Julia Foster, a great job there, coming off the bench and sprinting towards Uyeki in order to make a play and get a cause turnover.
Near turnover there by Puppo, but they're going to charge Uyeki with the foul as Ithaca continues to move. Still scoreless in the third, 11-10. Ithaca leads overall after a high-scoring first quarter and overall first half. Puppo gets it off to Nordyke. Sorry, Alex, go for it.
Maybe both offenses have decided to settle down to come out and start third quarter.
Well, here's Nordyke. The side of the 8-meter arc will reset with Phillips. Olivia Puppo remaining on the offensive end here for some reason.
Very interesting to see, as normally she's on the defensive end.
Hall looks for the hat trick, and she gets it. Maddie Hall, her 3rd of the game, her 4th over the last 2, makes it a 2-goal Bomber lead again.
What a beautiful juke there from Maddie Hall in order to cut to the outside and completely juke her defender to her left and completely get her one-on-one with Lauren Johns and able to find a hole on the left side of Lauren Johns.
So now 3 players in this game have registered hat tricks, 2 on Vassar's end. Kateri Sanzaviro with 1, Emma Torkelson has the other, And now Maddie Hall with their third goal becomes the third player in this one to do so.
And once again, Ithaca back to a 2-goal lead. It's great to see them start out the third quarter by getting another goal, getting that multi-goal lead back to what they had in the first half.
Ithaca has now matched their goal total from when they lost in Poughkeepsie on April 8th.
And they've already beaten their goal total from their last game against Skidmore, which was 11.
And that Skidmore game featured a very similar amount of shots, just a lot better goaltending on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, Lexi Held had 18 saves, and Kazanjian for Skidmore had 24 saves in that game.
Draw control goes to Phillips. Ithaca can go up 3 again with another goal here. Green walks it in, and Veach will once again gain the attention behind the net she's gotten all game. Veach backspins her way and shoots and scores high. Maisie Veach with her third, make it 4 total players with a hat trick in this one. Alex, you're signaling for the touchdown there?
Well, I was simply saying, I was going to say, Macy Veach, once again, from her office, the same area that she loves to work from. That is truly her office. I mean, she must be renting a penthouse in that office. I mean, truly, she's just living in that one area to the left side of that crease and getting all of, if not, almost all of her goals from that one area, and that is her favorite place to work from. And once again, she does a great job of making clean cuts and beating her defenders in order to get by them, in order to get into that crease area.
Alex, we started with office with your analogies, and now you upgrade to penthouse. When do we get to mansion? When do we get to a yacht on the side as well? Like,
I mean,
how far does she have to go?
I mean, if she gets another 3 goals, I think she'll get to mansion.
Another 3, so she's halfway there.
Well, I mean, that would tie the season high for a single player on the Ithaca Bomber squad with 6 goals in a single game.
Veach and Phillips have both done it once this year.
We got to call that game when Veach did it with tied that game in Rochester.
Tough draw, still on the turf, and I believe Wise committed the foul there on Torkelson, and Vassar wins a much-needed draw.
Absolutely. Vassar needed to get offensive possession in order to get back into this game, down 3 goals now.
Just over 11 to go in the third. 13-10 Ithaca leads. They've outscored Vassar 2-0 here in the quarter. Natalie Daigle loses it momentarily. Caitlin Russell, one of the more aggressive defenders we've seen on this Ithaca team.
She made a great play there, almost completely catching that pass almost.
Swinging it across the dotted line back to Torkelson. It goes looking for Gretton momentarily, but pulls it back. Now Torkelson bounces one just wide of Hell's goal. They're going to award ball to Liney Dutchison.
Yeah, Liney Dutchison able to beat out, it looked like Torkelson there in order to get possession for Ithaca. And going back to that shot, it was wide left from a really weak angle. It was going to be a tough shot, and maybe it would have to be a post bouncer in order to go into the net.
Mandel's pass to Hall couldn't be completed, and Hall takes a hit. It'll go out of bounds back to Vassar. Hall wanted the foul, which is another miscue in the neutral zone passing.
Yeah, it's just the Ithaca players have not been the cleanest in terms of catching their own passes. And I think that's been the main cause of a lot of their turnovers, as their turnover margin is still at 2-1 with 14 turnovers for Ithaca, only 7 for Vassar.
Under 10 minutes to go in the period. Sanzaviro operating from where she usually does here.
Another
dangerous pass in the middle. Foster collides.
Another near intercept there for Julia Foster. She went over the back of Callie Ringler for Vassar, and that's going to be a foul against her.
So the possession continues after the fresh shot clock. 55 to get one on Held's net. Cretin looking to get some sort of offense going. Gets double teamed in the middle. Tess Billings wraps around Dutchison. Fires one. Did Held get it low? She did. Oh, no, it stuck through. Couldn't see that through the scramble in front, but Tess Billings gets on the board. It's a 2-goal game.
It looked like it was just another one that Lexi Held got most of, however, just trickled by her and went just beyond the goal line, it looks like.
I'll tell you what, Alex, the Vassar parents have really shown out to this one. We're seeing, obviously, it's in southern New York, so they don't always get the best showing when it comes to road games here, but their voices have been heard.
Absolutely. I mean, every time the Vassar scores, they're turning a road game into a home game for Vassar.
So 9:18 to go. We're back to a 2-goal game. I feel like we've been stuck, Alex, around this 1, 2, 3 goal lead for Ithaca throughout the duration of this one.
That's absolutely right, Jeremy. And also, I mean, it keeps it in striking range for Vassar. I mean, they're just hanging around. You know, they haven't been able to get on a run to get the game tied up or even take a lead of their own. However, they're still in that striking range to where at any point Ithaca makes a few lapses, they can be right back into this game, if not tied, if not take their own lead.
Wise wins the draw. Chance to go back up 3. The handoff for Green here.
Wise back up to a 7 draw control margin in her favor. She's done a much better job here in the second half than what she did in the first half.
I think they're taking their time offensively here. So they get their personnel on. Nordyke throws one for Phillips, and it trickles all the way to Johns, and she makes her easiest save of the afternoon.
That was Callie Ringler on Phillips there, doing a great job of deflecting that pass, making sure that Phillips couldn't field it cleanly.
Here comes the speed of Trina Chow scampering into the Ithaca zone. Chow moving all the way in. Dutchinson had her back turned, but does turn back around just in time. Right. For Sanzaviro, a shot on goal, and Held gets the stick up high.
That was actually Maddie Cretton who took that shot, but that was a good save there by Lexi Held on a very fast shot there from Cretton.
Hosford comes off for Maddie Hall to come into the offensive zone here as Ithaca looks for their 3rd tally of the period.
Ithaca's looking to get back to a 3-goal lead here.
Nordyke and Veach play catch behind the net. Another stagnant offensive possession as Ithaca gets set up. Vassar commences their zone outside the 8-meter fan. Here's Hall. Beach will reset to the top as Lily Cody is back on here. Cody, who had a goal on the woman up earlier, goes to her right for Nordyke. Another slow offensive possession, just over 30 seconds to get one on. Phillips, 3 draw controls, but not a shot on goal yet or an assist. Works her way into the left post, gets pressed away by Nelson. The swing to the front of the net, Nordyke scores!
That was a great pass there by Maddie Hall, perfectly setting up a cutting Chloe Nordyke, and Nordyke right down Broadway of the 8-meter fan, and it's now back to a 3-goal lead for the Bombers.
Another hat trick on the Bomber roster. That's the 3rd goal of the game for Nordyke.
And they're all tied, and they're all now tied for the leading amount of goals on the Ithaca Bombers roster.
Just to recap, Elizabeth Green has 2, Lee Natural has 1, Lily Cody has 1 as well, and then Veach, Maddie Hall, and Chloe Nordyke all have 3 apiece.
And now it's great to see Ithaca answering. Like, we saw Vassar being able to go and get a goal, cut it to a 2-goal lead, and now an immediate answer from the Ithaca Bombers in order to strike back and make it a 3-goal game once again.
Their draw coming into the middle here, 7:07 to go in the period. Peacock and Wise, neither team has substituted him out to this point yet. Lexi Kellish will get a draw control of her own. Ithaca has not been up 4 since the first period and will try to match their largest lead of the game here.
And Kellish did a good job with draw controls in their last game against Skidmore on Tuesday. She had 3 in that game.
Kellish dumps one behind for Veach.
ISO play.
Yep, a bit of a stack, if you will. Hall gets isolated at the dotted arc. Gets the one-on-one she's handled so well all game. Hall gets all the way in, loses it, and it goes near Johns' goal, trickled wide. Vassar dodges a break.
That almost looked like he was going to roll on the ground as nobody could quite come up with it, and it looked like it was almost about to go into the net.
Chow splits both Natural and Phillips and gets one forward.
Chow's got to be a little bit tired at least. I mean, she's run, I think, more than anybody on the field so far today.
It's been a responsibility, if you will. Also has a goal to show for all her efforts. Sanzaviro's got 6 minutes. In the quarter, centering feed in front. A nice save by Held. as Mandel recovers. That was a centering feed in the middle, and Hell dove across the net to stop that one, Alex. That was her best save of the day.
Absolutely, and I mean, that was Maddie Cretin, who's the top goal getter for Vassar. There's a quick break here for the Ithaca Bombers.
Russell tried to dump one in. Still loose on the turf. Natural will collect the ground ball. And she got hit low. It'll be a foul on a Vassar defender with 5:23 and counting to go in the third.
And going back to that defensive position for Ithaca, I think it was Maggie Mandel who was on Cretin during that play, and she did a great job of forcing Cretin to not being able to get all of the full velocity or accuracy that she wanted on that shot.
Alex Williams-Smith has blown it open. They're up 12-7 now in the third. Ithaca trying to do the same.
We kind of expected that coming into the day. It's taken them a while to get it going, though.
This is Veach with Shine on her back. She fires one, and it goes wide. Nordyke, though, the closest to it. 25 to get one on goal. Veach, a centering feed. We get a free position.
That was a foul committed there by, it looked like Callie Ringler on Veach. Veach, who had stopped after she missed the shot, immediately then asked for a pass right in front of the crease from Chloe Nordyke, and she gave it to her. However, a foul there on Ringler, and now Veach will have another free position opportunity here.
Veach opts to pass quite a bit on these opportunities. Now she'll drive the net and shoot, and a score. Maisie Veach is fourth of the game, and she shows some enthusiasm with a pair of fist bumps there. It's 15-11 Ithaca.
That's a great drive there from Maisie Veach. As you said, Jeremy, we've seen her a lot of times pass it back out to players like Elizabeth Green or Caroline Wise at the top of the 12. This time, however, she just went right across the face of the 8-meter zone and went right across from right to left across John's face and was able to beat her.
6 points on the day for Veach, 4 goals, 2 assists.
And we saw Ithaca's stars showing up big in these playoff games. I mean, we saw on Tuesday against Skidmore in the quarterfinal match, Caroline Wise had a 6-point performance, and now Veach has one of her own today in the semifinal match.
4:42 to go in the third. Ithaca has matched their largest lead of the afternoon as they, like Williams-Smith, trying to pull away and look forward to Sunday.
Absolutely. I mean, what a matchup that's going to be on Sunday if Ithaca and Williams-Smith are able to pull their games out.
You know, we talked about right before the Skidmore game, Ithaca's regular season has been underwhelming. However, we know at their best they are just as talented as that Herons team. And, you know, who do you think has more momentum? Obviously, Williams-Smith hasn't lost, but do you think Ithaca fares better than they did when they went to Geneva the first time?
Absolutely. I definitely think that Ithaca definitely will fare better, especially considering they've been turning the ball over a lot less. Their offense has been a lot more consistent than when they went to Geneva to play that Herons team. When they played that Herons team, there was at one point in that game where that was a 2-goal game, and Ithaca looked like they were very much alive, and they were turning the ball over at a crazy rate. If they don't do that in Geneva on Sunday, should they be able to prevail this one, they'll definitely have a chance.
Centering try, Wise scores!
You're talking about opening up a game, Jeremy. That's exactly what the Ithaca Bombers are doing.
Chloe Nordyke drew attention on the right side of the 8-meter fan, and Wise, the open catch and dump into the net for number 19. That's her second of the game. 16-11 your score. Vassar calls for time.
I mean, they have to at this point. I mean, it was just they got one goal in this third period, and then all of a sudden Ithaca goes on a massive run to answer back. And I think we've seen a lot of physical play today, and I think there's definitely some revenge aspects to that. A lot of these Ithaca Bombers players, they were upset, very much upset when they went to Vassar and lost earlier on in the season. Now they're getting their chance of revenge here.
4:11 to go. You know, we go back to St. John Fisher, a non-conference game Ithaca played earlier. They lost 11-4, just 4 goals the entire way, had a lot of trouble scoring. I know you've covered this team a lot more than me all year, Alex. What have you noticed differently from that time of the year to now?
It's the facilitation of their offense. I mean, you're looking at players like Haley Armstrong, who unfortunately isn't been playing recently and isn't playing in this game today. However, it's been really the players like Caroline Wise, Chloe Nordyke, Sydney Phillips, who are normally the goal scorers, recipients of Armstrong's passing, that have been really stepping up and become those facilitators. We've seen, I think, a different one step up in each game. over the past four games, and so that's been the big difference. Is because in St. John Fisher, nobody was creating passes, nobody was trying to get the assist for their offense and for their teammates. They were really looking at players like Lay Natural to get that facilitation, and she just simply couldn't get it done. And so I think that really the change has been that everybody's now facilitating each other, and I think that now that the offense is truly starting to come back to life, they're definitely going to be faring a lot better going potentially into Sunday against William Smith.
So looking at the overall schedule, 11-7 the Bomber record. Again, the Liberty League final will take place on Sunday.
Ithaca's had to deal with a lot of adversity, a lot of tough games, and a lot of heartbreakers. I mean, you wanted to talk about Hamilton. We were there for that game with 5 seconds left when Hamilton scored in order to steal that one away here at Higgins Stadium. And then also, earlier on this season, I was calling a game with Tobias Zavore, and it was the Cortland game where they lost 9-8 on another heartbreaker last second. And so this Ithaca team has had to deal with a ton of adversity, and yet to still find themselves with an overall 11-7 record and 7-3 overall in conference play, and still now with a commanding lead late in the third quarter with a chance to go to another Liberty League championship game, it shows a lot about their mental toughness and their ability to deal with that adversity.
And Ithaca's had their marquee wins. They did beat St. Lawrence, who is ranked in the top 25, or they were at the time.
They were number 22 at the time,
Yep.
I believe. But, I mean, also, they do have the one lone shutout in the Liberty League against Bard earlier on in the season.
Something about Bard's roster that I noticed, they have 4 players who are on their women's basketball team on that team, and then they have another player who's on their volleyball team. So a lot of multi-sport athletes in Bard Raptorland. 4:11 to go in the third. Rocco found that one amusing, our computer guy today. There's a foul in the neutral zone around the yellow and blue line.
This is exactly what Vassar needs to do. They need to be winning draw controls against Caroline Wise, which is not an easy task.
Important possession for the Brewers as Tess Billings gets it going around the dotted arc. Maddie Cretton, the point leader for Vassar, gyrates inside and scores!
Finally, she gets another one.
Puts the finger to the nose to silence the crowd. It is a 4-goal game as Cretton earns her third point.
Finally, it seemed like it was forever that Creighton finally gets her second goal. I mean, she's had several opportunities. However, the Ithaca defense, a credit to them. We talked about how they weren't so good in the first half. They've really brought it here in the second half and done a good job of shutting down Creighton up to this point.
My apologies. 5 points actually now for Maddie Cretton. That was her second goal alongside the 3 assists. So she's been taken away from scoring goals really up until then, but has been involved in the offense for the majority of the day. 5 shots on goal, 2 goals in response for Cretton, and the 3 assists, like you said.
I mean, finally it seemed like she was able to find herself open in the 8-meter fan. I mean, for a long time, I think his defenders were doing just a good job of keeping her out of that area, not allowing her to cut in there. And finally, she's able to find a little bit of a hole and take advantage of it. High
draw here. Phillips battling for it, and it does go to Dutchison momentarily, and Foster will pick it up.
That's a big draw control win for Ithaca to try and keep the momentum.
Ball back on the ground. It's picked up by Maggie Mandel now.
Vassar's going to a much more aggressive ride, trying to cause turnovers as they know they're down in this game.
Lots of defensive zone pressure here on Ithaca's side. Puppo whiffed on the pass and finally gets it over to Dutchison.
That was a very scary missed whiff there for a second. As that could have been a one-on-one with Lexi Heldon and an offensive player for Vassar.
Dutchison for Lee Natural. 50 seconds to get one on goal, 2:55 to go in the quarter. Maddie Hall
Another
for
ISO
Phillips.
play.
Phillips bounces and scores.
Another ISO play there for the Ithaca Bombers, and Phillips able to beat her defender one-on-one.
It took almost 43 minutes, but Sydney Phillips finally gets on the board, and Ithaca's back up 5 again. 17-12 with 2:43 to go. Sydney Phillips' first goal of the game on her first shot attempt of the game. And I think it's up again by 5, which matches their largest lead of the day.
Absolutely. And 17 goals for the Ithaca Bombers so far. If they were to get to 20 goals, it'd only be the 4th time all season that they've actually had a 20-goal game.
The first time, I believe, FDU Forum, that was a win back in early March. Bard, they won 24-0. They scored 20 against Skidmore in the regular season, their regular season finale.
And this would be the 4th one if they are able to get 3 more.
Wise wins the high draw, gets it off to Maisie Veach. I think it's taking their time here. Maybe one more possession for each side if the shot clocks are used to its entirety. This is Lexi Kellish getting some offensive time. Now gets all the way in. Saved by Johns. Trickles across the goal mouth. And she finally makes the save.
I mean, once again, we've seen a switch up in the Ithaca offense. They're now going to ISO plays and isolating their best offensive players one-on-one against defenders and making those Vassar defenders having to defend one-on-one against Ithaca's best offensive players. And that one was so close to trickling over the goal line. It's like in the NHL playoffs where you see a puck just lay on the goal line. That's exactly what happened there on that one.
Hope the Devils get a lot past the goal line tonight. There's a $1:48 to go in the third. Vassar displaying some urgency on offense now. Uyeki on the end line, cuts her way towards the middle. Finds Cretin. Cretin sailed it high, but Lola Wright is the closest one to it.
Yeah, Ithaca switching up to double teams against Uyeki and Cretin on their defensive rotation.
Uyeki trying to isolate with Russell, but Russell wins that battle. Since Aviro has to loft it to Torkelson, a minute to go.
That was a very good play there by Maggie Mandel. Lola Wright was one-on-one in front of the crease, and Maggie Mandel was able to force her to get a wide shot off.
Lexi Kellish picks up the ground ball and creates the turnover as we have a Vassar foul. Shot clock off. Ithaca has 45 seconds to extend the lead before the fourth quarter commences.
Well, the shot clock is not off, Jeremy, but it should be off.
Yeah. Theoretically, it is off. There will not be any more violations. As Hall enters past the dotted arc. 28 seconds to go. Hall driving the end line. Passes it all the way back out for Veach, and now Caroline Wise will settle it down. Nordyke with 15 seconds. Enters her way in. Tough angle shot. Save with the stick by Johns. And she'll get ready to clear as the third quarter, Alex, will come to an end. Ithaca 17, Vassar 12, and the Bombers are 15 minutes away from a trip to the Liberty League final.
Yeah, great job by the Ithaca Bombers in order to extend their lead and really break away a little bit in this game. I mean, it's been so close. We talked about earlier, Jeremy, how it's been a 2-goal game or a 3-goal game almost the entirety of this game. And, you know, they had a great 6-goal period in the third and only 2 goals for Vassar in the third quarter, and definitely a breakaway period for them.
What do you think regarding Vassar's chances? Obviously, the very slim margin for error because they're down 5, but how do they get back in this game with the little opportunity they have?
I think, once again, they got to go back to their speed. I think Ithaca's been doing a better job of shutting down their speed offenses. You talked about in the first half, Jeremy, how it was really their speed that allowed Vassar to get odd man advantages, and that's how they got a lot of their goals, especially early on in this game. And so I think that's something that they need to try and get back to and really take advantage of, because it did seem like early on that Ithaca's defenders were just struggling to get back in time. And also, if there was another, if there is someone who I would be looking for Vassar to step up, it would be Maddie Cretin. Only 2 goals. I mean, she's a 47 goal scorer right now so far this season, top 5 in the Liberty League, and only 2 goals in this game, considering there are 3 Ithaca Bombers with at least 3 goals in this game so far. She needs to step it up a little bit here in the fourth if Vassar wants to come back.
Fair point. I mean, you have to get to your top guns if you're going to come back in this one if you're Vassar. talk about Lexi Held a little bit. Really struggled in the first half, but played really well. 5 saves in that third period. What has she done to really adjust to the Vassar offense?
I think you talked about it a little bit in the first half. Her reaction time was a little bit off. She's gotten it back, and also I think her defenders have helped her out quite a bit in this second half. I think, you're looking at players like Caitlin Russell, Maggie Mandel. All those players have definitely played a lot better here in the second half in order to help out Lexi Held and definitely get rid of those screens, breaking up passes, making it a lot easier for her to make those saves.
So it is fourth quarter time. Again, Ithaca 15 minutes away from yet another Liberty League championship game.
Union just scored, actually, to make it a 4-goal game, 8-12 now. William Smith over Union with 9:50 to go in the fourth quarter. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on that one as this one comes to a close.
William Smith, the last time they were not Liberty League champions, 2014-2015, against Union. So they have won the last 6 Liberty League titles.
It shows how much dominance William Smith has had in recent years. And, I mean, if there's going to be a team that's going to usurp them from their throne, it's going to be the Ithaca Bombers team.
Union won it in 2014-2015, and then RPI won it a few years prior. You want to guess the team that won it prior to that? And don't cheat.
William Smith?
No, it was Hamilton, who's now in the NESCAC. So,
oh, really?
You look at Ithaca; they haven't won a Liberty League title before. So obviously they were in the Empire 8 for a while, but trying to change the narrative this year, and they want to close out Vassar before they have a chance to do so. Underway here in the fourth, Maddie Hall, who has 3 goals already.
Union just made it a 3-goal game.
Really?
As it was Dana Nelson who got the goal for Union.
Work to do there, but certainly not over with 9:23 to go over in Geneva. Wise for Nordyke on the end line will pull it back. And while you don't want to be too conservative here, Alex, Ithaca's doing the right thing by not rushing.
Yeah, you can absolutely take your time here if you're Ithaca. You're up 5 goals. It's going to take a lot of possessions for Vassar to get back into this game. And as long as Wise continues to win draws, they should be good in this game.
Wise for Kellish. Fires one with the backhand. Did go wide left. Ithaca keeps it. 27 to get one on goal.
That was a missed opportunity by Kellish there.
Veach fired one. Didn't hit net.
Going back to the Kellish shot, she was right in the middle of that 8-meter fan in a prime scoring position.
Natural will pull it out. And another whistle, and that'll be a shot clock violation to start.
Well, they did take 90 seconds off the clock, so I think that's at least some sort of a win for Ithaca in that form. Even though they didn't get any shots on net or a goal, they still took 90 seconds off the game clock.
So Vassar's got to show some desperation here. 13 minutes and change to go in this game.
Ithaca's switching up their defense now, being a lot more aggressive in the midfield and in defensive zones.
They get it to Trina Chow, who gets swarmed in the middle, but able to help set up the offensive possession here. Held has to make a save, but
and it'll be a foul
yeah,
against
she got stepped on. I think someone stepped on her foot there, so Cretin concedes it back.
That was a good play there by Lexi Held. A very, very smart play to know to come out of the net in order to get that ground ball to make sure that they can clear and get it out of their defensive zone.
So Ithaca a chance to wind down some more clock as Russell gets it in. She'll flip one for Hall as Ithaca gets set up. Hall found a seam on the end line. Goes up top for Elizabeth Green. 2 goals already for her today. As Nordyke will make the catch at the dotted arc. Under 50 seconds to get one on goal. This clock moving a lot quicker than previous quarters, Alex.
Absolutely. So many less whistles, less violations being committed. And also, Ithaca's just doing a great job of taking their time draining that game clock.
Green behind for Veach. Maisie Veach will reset once more with Natural. Wise now. For Lee Natural again, 20 seconds to shoot.
You can hear the Ithaca crowd calling for Maisie Beach.
Phillips finds an opening and scores high. Bar down, if you will, for Sydney Phillips, her second goal of the second half. And Ithaca's got their largest lead, 18-12, a 6-goal margin.
I mean, Ithaca now making it really, really hard for Vassar to come back as it takes 6 possessions. And also, the draw control margin is now 2-1 in Ithaca's favor. Caroline Weiss having a great day in the draw circle for Ithaca. And I wonder if, we'll see as Vassar calls a timeout, I wonder if head coach Judy Finnerty is going to change up her draw control player against Caroline Weiss here in the fourth quarter.
Right. Obviously, changing personnel is a known way to try to wake your team up. But the one issue I have with that, Alex,
it's a tough matchup. It's a tough matchup.
Who better do you have?
Yeah, that is definitely true. As there are, 4 Vassar Brewers who do have more than 20 draw controls on the season. However, I don't know if any of them. I don't think any of them actually have the physical size that Peacock has going up against Weiss, who's obviously 5'10".
So still waiting for this Vassar timeout to end.
Keeping an eye on the William Smith and Union game. William Smith just got their 4-goal lead back by Maddie Montgomery, who's able to make it a 4-goal game with 6:31 left to go in the fourth. So it does seem like William Smith is going to be able to pull that one out, as I think it would be very, very tough for Union with only 6 minutes on the clock to get 4 goals.
The one thing you can say is, does William Smith look vulnerable?
Absolutely. I mean, they've been blowing teams out by 10 or 15 goals for most of the season, and now they concede only maybe a 4 or 5 goal win to Union. In a Union team that has not been all that great so far this season in the Liberty League play, and for them to put a really good fight against William Smith, it shows that this William Smith team is definitely vulnerable. And if in the Ithaca Bombers, should they hold on to win this game, they're going to look at that game and see a massive opportunity to dethrone William Smith.
All right, so 11:21 to go. Obviously, you don't want to take everything too lightly, but if you're Coach Carrie Moore, what type of lead do you say, all right, starters, you guys can take a bit of a break?
I don't think there's any lead unless it's a 10-goal lead, especially because I have been following this team, and so far throughout the season, Carrie Moore has not pulled her starters for anything less than a 10-goal lead in any game so far this season, and I don't expect that to change right now in this game, especially in a semifinal game. There may be a 6-goal lead for Ithaca with only 11 minutes left. However, she definitely knows that this team is prone to turnovers, and there could be a lot more possessions for Vassar than what they need in order to get back into this game, and so I don't expect her to pull her starters.
So, Alex, Vassar might have listened to you. They did change their draw control player. They put in Maddie Cretton to do it, but she was not successful. Wise wins another. Ithaca, again, will try to obtain their largest lead of the afternoon, 11:05 to play.
Well, Cretton, another 5'9" player, and another good physical matchup against Wise.
And Wise has proven she's the best in the Liberty League in the middle. Green catches to the dotted arc, goes for Nordyke at the 12-meter. Phillips on the feed, goes to Wise, slings one and scores.
That was a sweet underhand swinging shot for Wise there. That's the first one I've seen her do all season, actually, of that type of shot, and it's a beautiful one to beat Lauren Johns and make it now a 7-goal game for Ithaca.
3 goals now for Caroline Wise. Ithaca up 7 now, and if it does get to a 10-goal game at some point, the clock does run.
And I wouldn't be surprised at 10 goals. We are at 7, so it is entirely possible that this does get to a 10-goal difference for the Ithaca Bombers. I would not be surprised to see Coach Carrie Moore maybe pull her starters then, but I don't think anything less than a 10-goal game she won't be pulling anybody.
Draw control goes high, and it goes right into the stick of Phillips. We'll sat there on a platter for her, and Phillips will run it in.
Those draw controls are becoming ever more important in this game, and as the team who wins them can control the clock. And so far, Caroline Wise has done a great job of dominating them in the fourth quarter.
Ithaca outscoring Vassar 8-2 in the second half. It was an 11-10 game at halftime, but Vassar has just been outplayed.
Absolutely.
Reach for Wise, approaching 10 minutes remaining here in the semifinal round in Ithaca, New York.
Union just made it a 3-goal game once again with 4:08 to go in that game.
Obviously, we'll keep tabs on that. Wise. Ithaca trying to drain some clock here with 9:50 to go now. Nordyke for Veach. Ducks. Tries to move her way in, couldn't do so, and launches one back out for Elizabeth Green. Here's Green to the side. Hall, Nordyke for Veach again. It's a game of catch for the Bomber offense right now. Here's Wise, finagling her way inside. Fires one, saved by Johns. Vassar finally going to get a possession here with 9:18 to go.
And I just looked it up, Jeremy. This is actually the second lowest amount of goals that William Smith has scored in a single game so far this season. So Union definitely doing a good job of putting up a fight.
Union has beaten Ithaca this season. That came in Schenectady earlier this year.
The Ithaca Bombers have struggled on the road here as there's a great pickoff there by Olivia Puppo.
Big time man advantage if Puppo hurries, but the Vassar defense does a great job getting back. So Puppo will go for Elizabeth Green and go back to her defensive position. 8:40 remains. No reason for the Bombers to hurry their offense here. Elizabeth Green at the dotted arc. Backhands one for Wise, plays it off her knees. Veach on the end line again. So lots of passing occurring here at Higgins. High pass goes there for Elizabeth Green again, and she was taken down from behind, but it did go out, so it will be Vassar ball with under 8 to play.
Another turnover there for the Bombers. The turnover margin the turnover margin is still 2-1 in Ithaca's favor as William Smith just makes it a 4-goal game once again with only 3 minutes left to go.
Here's Uyeki there, finding Sanzaviro behind the net, who's been quiet since her dominant first half. 4 goals in that first half for her. Nothing since.
I think the Ithaca defense has done a good job of adapting to whoever has the hot hand and making sure that they don't get any more goals.
Ringler got hit inside the 12-meter arc. So she'll get some space to operate here. 7:12 to go. Here's Torkelson, fires one on Held, scores. Held didn't see that one on the screen in front, and Torkelson gets her 4th of the game.
That's good screenplay there by Vassar there. It's almost like in hockey where you put a big-bodied player in front of the goaltender and make it harder for them to see the incoming shot, and Vassar executed that really, really well. Now,
Ithaca will call timeout. You know, we were having a nice fast-paced fourth, and now we're seeing frantic timeouts again.
I mean, once again, I'm a little surprised that Coach Kerry Moore has called this timeout, considering they are up 6 with only 7 minutes to go.
You know, I think it attests to the way she plays her substitutions, right? You know, she's very cautious with who she plays and how she operates her personnel. She doesn't want to take any chances here with a Vassar goal late.
That is definitely fair, but I do still think as long as they minimize the turnovers, even though, once again, Ithaca's winning in this game. However, they still have a 2-1 turnover margin against Vassar. I mean, Ithaca has 18. Vassar only has 9 turnovers. And against a team like William Smith, should Ithaca hold on and go to play William Smith in the Liberty League Championship game on Sunday, as it looks like William Smith is going to get that win up 4 with only 2 minutes and 34 seconds left to go in that one, they cannot afford to have a 2-1 turnover margin in that game against William Smith, or they are going to not have a very good opportunity to win. If they want to win a Liberty League Championship, they really have to clean that up.
So as for timeouts, if each team still has one remaining.
I think Vassar would have to get maybe 1 or 2 goals. I think 2 or 3 actually, in order for them to justify calling a timeout. Because I really think, if you're not cutting a lead down to 3 goals by maybe the 5 or 4 minute mark, if they don't get a couple in the next 1 to 2 minutes, it's going to be very, very difficult for them to have even the number of possessions they needed to come back in this game.
I'm looking at a stat from the 2021 season. Just give me 2 more seconds to confirm this. 2021, I'm looking at Ithaca's history against William Smith. And this is the 2021 season, right, where COVID was still very present here on campus and travel was restricted. So what you did was you played your Liberty League opponent twice. Mm-hmm. Ithaca beat William Smith both here and on the road. 13-7 here at Higgins, 9-7 in Geneva. And then the Liberty League Championship, they lose 17-13.
Well, I think another thing is that, the difference is obviously there were quite a few seniors that graduated over the past few years, but one of the players that is still on the roster who unfortunately just isn't playing is Rachel Rosenberg. I mean, she was on the team during that time and would have played in those games, and obviously one of the best defenders in the Liberty League. However, unfortunately, she is not playing this season.
Looking at the roster from then. Maisie Veach was also on that team. She was a freshman. So was Cindy Phillips and a lot of the other juniors on this team. As Elizabeth Green will corral that one. Draw control win for Ithaca. That should probably secure it. Under 7 minutes to go and a 6-goal advantage for Coach Kerry Moore's squad.
Yeah, if Ithaca can just hold on here and just simply drain the clock, it's going to be almost impossible for Vassar to get enough possessions to come back. Ithaca would obviously love to score another goal here, but they really don't have to.
On the end line, it goes for Maddie Hall. Bombers just draining clock. Going back to that 2021 season, you could argue that was the best Ithaca women's lacrosse team. Jackie Halleck was breaking program records. You had Megan Motkowski, Alexa Ritchie, Caroline Grant there. As that will trickle all the way out of the dotted line, and Wise will recover. 34 to get one on goal. Ithaca did get an at-large bid that year. They beat the Notre Dame of Maryland University 23-1 in the first round of NCAA play. They beat number 2 ranked Washington and Lee even in that tournament as well. And their downfall came to the 4th ranked Salisbury University. They lost 16-5.
And Salisbury still is top 5 rated program this year.
It's always those same teams. They always seem to hang around for a while. That goes for all college sports. It's Phillips. That goes in!
I mean, on such a fluky play where Lauren John should have had that one in her stick. However, she lost control of it, and it trickles past the goal line.
We've been making all the hockey analogies. If that went to Phillips, it went off of her stick. She never got it inside, and it just trickled by the goal line. Johns never saw it. It's almost like when you shoot a puck at a goal and you get the deflection in front and it misdirects in.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the equivalent in hockey of a deflection going off one of the defenders and into the net. I mean, it was almost the same thing as now you see Kateri Senseviro going over to talk with Lauren Johns after Johns was visibly frustrated after that goal, as she knows she should have had that one.
So 5:37 to go. If it wasn't over before, then that definitely should be it.
It's definitely over now, Jeremy. I mean, 5:37, a 7-goal deficit. There's only 4 or 5 full possessions left of a 90-second shot clock anyway. And if Ithaca wins this draw control, which they do with Sydney Phillips, it's going to be impossible for Vassar to come back. And the William Smith game just went final. William Smith does take down Union 10-14. A very tightly contested game, a lot more tightly contested than what I think either of us thought, Jeremy. And so now if Ithaca does hold on, which it looks like they will be playing on Sunday with William Smith Herons.
Another weird thing, if you will, about the 2021 season, it's weird because you have 4th to 15-minute quarters here. You played 2 30-minute halves in 2021. I don't know if that was a COVID thing or if they just made a recent rule change.
I think they made a recent rule change, actually.
Yeah. What do you think you would prefer? If
I think quarters just basically gives you more of a chance to make adjustments in the game. I mean, if you're only playing 2 30-minute halves, then the only way you can adjust is through timeouts. And
It's a lot of time too, because even
Yeah.
in basketball, on the women's side, you have your quarters. On the men's side, you have the 2 20-minute halves in college. As on the free position here,
Lily Cody's not going to
Yep,
take that
yep.
shot.
as Green will get in, she'll shoot it, but it goes high. Haley Armstrong is in the game for the first time behind the net, and she will save possession. Under 30 seconds to get one on goal, 4:26 to play.
I think we can just about bring it down to 4 minutes left in this game if they just hold the ball.
This is Nordyke moving in, bounces and scores again. Chloe Nordyke having a sensational game. Ithaca's up 8 with 4:12 to go.
I mean, Chloe Nordyke is having herself a day. 4 goals on the day, plus an assist, a 5-point day for her. And, I mean, another one where Johns probably should have had that one as well, where it just trickled on by through her feet on a bouncer. And now an 8-goal lead. This one is definitely out of reach now. If it wasn't after the last one where Johns let it go in off of her own stick, it definitely is now.
That was, I mean, it's very fitting because of the kind of goals we've seen today, but that one, cream of the crop right
Especially, I mean, the last 2 games. I mean, we called the Skidmore game on Tuesday, and there were 4 goalposts in that game, and another 2 today. I mean, it's just been a wacky tournament for the Ithaca Bombers. Wise as Sydney Phillips comes with the draw control here for Ithaca. Wise, after going a couple games against Skidmore where she only had 4 or 5 draw controls per game, she's back up to her normal margin of 13 in this game today.
Under 4 minutes to go, a few possessions total remaining. Kellish playing catch with Cody, and she gets hit. And Ithaca will travel to Geneva on Sunday, the second straight time the Liberty League Championship will be played there. If we go back to last season, Ithaca lost that one 12-11 in the Liberty League final. So a couple one-goal losses. They also lost to William Smith here in that regular season, 14-13. So we've had a lot of one-goal affairs between the two teams. That Bomber team did also make the NCAA tournament. Is that pass intercepted?
Well, it looks like there's a new goaltender in. It is Bree McMullen, who I saw warming up earlier before the game today. It seems like Maddie Busam has actually been maybe not playing today, or maybe not even dressing today.
Yeah, so McMullen from Medford, New Jersey getting some time. In the NCAA championship last year, Ithaca defeated...
Nice save there by Lexi Held on a shot there from Tess Billings.
Right. They defeated Cabrini University 19-9, but then lost, by 1 goal to 6th-ranked Franklin and Marshall. So Ithaca's been really close to going on to mega runs. They've been a little short.
I mean, as I've talked about before, there's so much mental toughness with this squad. I mean, to be able to come back and continue to battle after suffering so many one-goal defeats. I mean, they had 2 in this season, and one that came with only 5 seconds on the clock in the 4th quarter. And yet they're continuing to battle and getting a win today to advance to another Liberty League championship game. I mean, this team has had to deal with so much adversity, and it shows a lot about their mental toughness and their ability to come back from adversity. And once again now with 35 seconds on the shot clock, Ithaca can take this to a 1-possession game here.
So after this possession, we'll just have one more.
One more full 90 seconds. Actually, the shot clock will be turned off after this possession.
We talked to Rocco DeMilo, who did our pregame show today, and he was talking about opportunity. His favorite team, Napoli, won their conference in soccer after a while. do you see a resemblance here? Ithaca trying to win Liberty League here after a while. They've never won it before.
For sure. I mean, there absolutely is a similarity. I mean, Ithaca, they are obviously trying to take advantage of another opportunity here. They've made it to so many Liberty League championship games just to fall a little bit short, and now they have another opportunity here on Sunday in Geneva in order to go and finally dethrone the William Smith Herons.
William Smith, the winner of the last 5 Liberty League championships.
Undefeated still this season.
2 teams here playing right now who have never won it, Vassar and Ithaca. Vassar, though, you got to compliment them. They had a really good turnaround season, and they'll look to get even better next year. 2 conference wins last year, just 4 wins overall, just and a split 5-5 in the Liberty League this year.
Tells you how good Judy Finnerty is at bouncing back. I mean, she had a bad season, really bad season, as you said, Jeremy, last year, and now to be 9-6 and 5-5 in conference play and make it all the way to the Liberty League semis. I mean, it's a really great job.
Well, the clock is going to wind down. Sydney Phillips by the end line is walking. Not a lot of pressure. The Ithaca Bombers will head back to Geneva for the Liberty League Championship on Sunday and will have another chance to win their first conference title in program history.
As Rago said, a massive opportunity on Sunday for the Ithaca Bombers here to finally usurp the William Smith Herons as the champions. And this team can absolutely do it. I truly still do believe that. I think if they clean up the turnovers and they have a great job of facilitating their offense, they can absolutely get the job done.
Well, that'll do it from us. Alongside Alex Chaprud, I'm Jeremy Goldstein. Ithaca, William Smith on Sunday. We'll see you next time.